Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Revamped and part 1 of the season finale. Today we are covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 21, Graduation Day Part 1. Aired originally May 18th, 1999, written and directed by Joss Whedon. Joining us today, all the way from the UK, we have who I'd like to say has become a good friend of mine, Chris Birch, aka BUFFYDOOD on Instagram. Welcome to your first podcast, and thanks for coming to join us to cover this episode.
Hi, thanks for having me. Very exciting, and I'm really hoping. Oh no, did I go too loud?
No.
No, you're fine.
You can start over if you want.
No, it's fine. Let's carry on. There'll be lots of this.
He's here. Chris was supposed to be on with us and Tyler for our Bad Girls coverage, but unfortunately, as it happens, life happens, and he was not able to join us for that. And obviously, we had our little mishap last week, and we had to postpone this again. So today, we're actually here to tackle this episode together. But I figured you would work perfectly for our Buffy finale for season 3 guest, because you did reach out and you were like, I'd really still like to be on for this season. And I was like, okay, well, and here you are. So you're here today. Awesome.
And also, I would actually say this is an upgrade. Bad Girls is great, but this is a much better episode.
Okay, so. All right. I feel that. I mean, I'm kind of happy it worked out that way, because we didn't have a guest for our finale. And we usually do, last season, we'd had Becoming Buffy on. The first season, we had Prophecy Girls podcast on. So those were big things. So, I mean, you're our big thing this time, So.
And I've graduated.
There you go.
At one point in my life. So it's kind of.
I know, right? So it is pretty common for us to ask around here with our first time guest, what brought you to Buffy the Vampire Slayer and what your favorite season is?
So I first saw Buffy by accident. I watched The Witch was my first episode. I came across it was just on TV, and I saw a girl in cheerleader's outfit singing Macho Man, and I was a bit cringed out. And then I continued watching, and I was like, this is pretty decent. And I just continued watching it and became super obsessed. But in the UK, the airing of the show was really irregular, so I would miss episodes and it would all be a bit confusing until later on it came on Sky, and then I watched it and became properly obsessed.
Nice.
So that's kind of by accident. And then I got really into the con circuit when this is a bit of a weird story, but I didn't know anyone who liked Buffy. So I was a bit of a loser. I would sit on dial up looking at pictures and stuff by myself and on the forums, trying to find some friends who liked it. And one day I saw 2 girls who were about the same age wearing Buffy t-shirts. And I was like, what the hell are they doing? Where are they going? So I did the normal thing and followed them. And they went into a hotel, and it happened to be a Buffy convention, and I bumped into Andy Hallett. And that was crazy. That's so crazy.
You'll learn who he is in the future, Courtney. That's so cool.
No spoilers.
Yeah, I know, right? Other than the fact that he's passed on, so rest in peace. We'll have another moment for him later. But at least you got to meet. I would love to meet Andy. He was such a just good vibes. Honestly, he was fun on set and stuff. So 100% would have loved to have met him before he met his demise. So rest in peace, Andy. Yeah. What's your favorite season of Buffy?
5 on both series.
Really? Okay. Nice.
Yeah, but 3 would be out the ones that you've watched so far. Yeah. Season 3 is my second favorite for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's how those two alternate placement for me. Like season 5 and 3 alternate for me. I mean, 5 is technically my second favorite season. Truly, I'm going to always place that just because of the storyline and everything that comes from that. Like it kind of follows my whole like comment about like why I like season 2 for Buffy's becoming arc. But season 3 is just like, and I don't know, you have to have that one as like a classic. Like it's just so good. We've had so much fun with this season and stuff like that. So I'm glad that's in your top. And I'm glad you joined us also for this one too. We'll have to obviously have you on for future episodes too. I'm going to say that preemptively because I know I'm re-inviting you back, obviously. He'll be on like 4 episodes this season with us from now on.
We'll see how this goes.
If I drop season 5.
I know, right?
Oh, season 5. Yeah.
This is your audition. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see some follow-up questions that I had. So I wanted to know, obviously you're an artist and you're on Instagram and you draw a bunch of Buffy content. So I was curious what made you decide to create your Instagram targeted mostly at that Buffy creative content and then also all the other stuff that you post. I know you said you're into Marvel. We were talking about your shelf behind you and things like that had that. So I know sometimes you like pretty much venture out the world of Buffy, but for the most part, I mean, it's called BUFFYDOOD and it pretty much features mostly Buffy content. So like what brought you to create that and start doing that?
So I had a hair transplant. Probably not what you would have expected me to say, but I had a hair transplant and I was at home for a week or two and had nothing to do. And I had my iPad and I was like, I haven't drawn in a while. So I thought I'm going to start drawing something. And that's kind of it. And then I thought, oh, I wonder if this would be popular or if anyone's interested in me doing this. I also just found it really calming. It was good, like mental health. And I felt really, I just really enjoyed it. I was feeling quite stressed as well after just having my head stabbed repeatedly and hairs inserted into my scalp. So I was feeling quite stressed about stuff in general. And I just found drawing really calming. And Buffy is my kind of go-to comfort TV show. So I thought, let's combine the two. And that's it, really.
I like that, though. I mean, I didn't know what brought you to it and stuff like that. I just, all of a sudden, one day you appeared on my Instagram and I was like, look at this cute little stuff. And I thought it was so funny because, like, I think we were still in season 2 when I was like, hey, you know, like next season you should come like be a guest with us. I was like, are you 18 plus? You're like, yes, I'm like, you know, an older gay male. And I was like, oh, I literally thought he was like, I didn't want to like shout out the fact that you're in your 40s, but...
only just. Oh
only just. I know. Some people are sensitive about their age and they don't want their shit exposed. But obviously, he's 40 now, you guys. So, anyways, well, if you follow him on Instagram, you know because you saw his birthday event and all this other stuff. But my point being, whenever I saw you and like messaged you and stuff like that, for some reason, just because of the content, I thought maybe you were like an 18-year-old girl that had just came to Buffy or some shit like that. Like just because of the stylistic, like the take you put on like your creative twist with how you draw your stuff, which I absolutely love, but I hadn't seen anything like that. Some people are a little bit close to realism or like we have people like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. Laz Marquez. That took forever, but he draws like hyper realistic like artwork and stuff. And then we have a few of the other Buffy content creators that do a little bit of cartoony stuff, like, you know, what's his face draws, does a little bit of stuff. The other one that I post and share on my story that his name is also escaping me, but he does fun little like kind of crappy sketchy drawings like for on purpose, you know what I mean? I'm not calling his shit crappy like Faith would, but he does like a weird, he just like draws it with his like foot and then he's like, this is the Buffy content, you know. That should be somebody else's content. I draw Buffy with my feet, and that's their username. I can already tell it's going to be fun. So yeah, other than that, I feel like, you know, other than getting into the episode in a second, I did want to say and give you a nice little shout out and congrats. Obviously, you just posted and we're talking about how you got signed to a publishing company with your brother for you and him having the upcoming book series that you guys have been working on. You're doing the illustrations and he wrote the stories and they're children books and stuff like that. But I know I've already told you that I was proud and excited for you, but here I am to say it again. And also that I'm hugely happy for you because this is awesome. Courtney has 2 published books herself and she was featured in a 3rd book. So technically she's been published 3 times. So we can definitely say that's a big accomplishment and it makes you feel really good about what you're doing in life to like achieve that, especially when it's outside the realm of, like you said, your normal career path. And that helps sometimes kind of open up and expand, you know, where you've been at in life and helps you start to work on your own and all this other stuff.
Thank you so much.
My light's flickering over here. So I'm sensing some good vibes. I don't know if y'all can see the light bouncing off my face, but I was like, the magic is happening. All right, well, let's actually get into the episode. In part 1 of the season 3 finale, as Sunnydale High prepares for graduation, Faith escalates the situation by striking directly at Buffy's heart, poisoning Angel in an attempt to distract her. When the gang discovers the only cure is for Angel to drain the blood of a Slayer, Buffy makes the ultimate decision to bring him one, leading to an intense and epic final battle, Slayer against Slayer. You like that one? That was fucking hot, right? Guest star for this episode. We never talked about him, but I thought it would be interesting to bring him up. He's our only one because everybody else we know. James Lurie played Mr. Miller, and we originally met him in season 2's I Only Have Eyes for You when he wrote "Don't Walk Away From Me, Bitch" on the chalkboard. Obviously, he was possessed by James's spirit in that moment. He didn't just write that for writing it, but whenever we saw him come on the screen, I was like, do you remember him writing that on the chalkboard like the last time, blah, blah, blah. And his original appearance was also cut. I found this out whenever I was doing this research, that he was supposed to be in Innocence as his introductory episode, but they cut it, I guess, because it was for time. And he then reappeared later down the line in Anne, and then finally again here. And this makes his last appearance for the series because obviously he's a teacher at Sunnydale High, and we know what happens to Sunnydale High. So, from what I could see, though, even though he's been in other stuff, none of it I knew or seemed cool, so I'm not going to list out his stuff. Sorry, my dude, but, you know, it is what it is. Just for everyone to know, too, we are going into this with the knowledge of watching both parts. Courtney has seen part 1 and part 2. Obviously, we watched them as a double feature, so expect comments from part 2. Chris, yourself, even feel free to say stuff from next episode if you feel like it ties in with what you want to give a statement on.
Relief. That's massive relief. I was going to ask that if you'd seen part 2 already. So,
yes.
Great.
It just didn't seem right to not do it all together.
And after that cliffhanger, how could you not go straight into it?
Exactly.
I love this episode so much for that, because I love a to be continued on the screen, but I didn't like it back in the day because I'm like, fuck, now I gotta wait till next week. Like, Courtney, you are literally so lucky you get to binge this shit in a sense.
So lucky.
Watch certain things back to
I'm surprised I made it till the next day and I didn't force you to watch it.
That is true. That is a fun fact. You came over to my Airbnb because I went to Columbia, where Courtney lives, an hour and a half away, to stay there the night before. And we were just going to hang out. I didn't feel like driving and doing the whole thing in one day like we usually do. But we were sitting at my Airbnb board, and I was like, should we just go ahead and do the first reaction video? And you're like, yes. So we watched the first one, and then she got to watch part 2. So she did have the little bit of waiting period, but it was like 12 hours or something versus however many hours there are in 7 days. I don't know. Mental math is not for me. But regardless, for my opening thoughts, immediately I wrote whoa, we're here. We're at the season 3 finale. It's crazy. And for me, this was one of the best episodes of Buffy. And this is probably one of my absolute top tier fight scenes across the whole series, which is probably what makes it to me one of the best episodes, because the episode itself is a little bit dry. It's got these elements that are focusing and pulling everything together for the next episode. But there actually are stakes raised here. We get this big conclusive energy with Buffy and Faith here. And like I was saying, it's the best fight. I love whenever a Slayer against Slayer is happening. When we saw Buffy and Kendra fight, we kind of got to see what would happen when equals come up to against each other, because vampires, demons, things like that, as opposed to a Slayer, we always assume they're going to lose unless it's the unfortunate situation where a Slayer just has a bad day and she ends up, obviously we know that that's what's happened to create more callings of future Slayers. They just had the one bad day kind of thing. It just happens.
Also, respectfully, Kendra and Buffy's outfits were nowhere near as cute as Buffy and Faith's ones. They are two of the best looks, I think. Whenever I think of a Buffy outfit, that look is the one I really go to.
This lamp's about to drive me crazy as I heard flickering. I'm on a Stranger Things or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? It's because it's a 1960s fucking wisteria vintage lamp. So it's probably...
That's haunted for sure.
Yes. It needs some new wiring or something, because it's been doing that every now and again. It didn't do that when I first bought it.
It's from the upside
down.
That.
Where were we? Let's see. I'm going to leave that in because it's fun, because, Stranger Things is happening right now and awesome. We'll have to talk about that in a future life. Not as a podcast series, but, just in general, because I like that show as well. But Buffy versus Faith, to bring it back to home. Never have I ever watched a fight sequence from the show so many times, aside from Becoming's Buffy versus Angelus. And just to say that's the only other, right now in my mindset too, that finale fight is just so fucking good. And there's a couple of future ones that are really great too, but this show is obviously so good about bringing it for their finale, especially when it comes to their fight sequences. It's they go all out. But again, and I'm not going to quit saying it, this one's so fucking good. I did want to give, before I forget, because I always kind of do until the middle of the recording, like give a shout out to my sister Tiffany. I wish she was here. She loved this episode a lot. Me and her used to watch this episode on repeat, just like Bad Girls, and we would reenact the fight scenes and like throw each other around our bedroom and shit like that. Like literally beat for beat knew the fucking fight move choreography. I mean, we wouldn't really punch each other. Sometimes I would get a little too aggressive. And then she'd be like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, well, like, girl, I'm in the moment. Like, what are you talking about? I'm about to beat your ass. Like, Buffy, I'm going to stab you too. Like, you ready to bleed, motherfucker? It's the whole thing. But otherwise, you know, I'll play off of you guys. I didn't really add too much more into my notes, like, because I can really kind of sum up next episode more so why I really like these episodes and whatnot. But I'm going to hop over to Courtney for a second so that way she can talk about what she liked about part 1.
I enjoyed this episode a lot, and I think so far anyway, from all the episodes I know, since I don't know all of them yet, but I can probably second that this is one of the best episodes so far for me. And so is the next one. I kind of am going to treat this as one in a way because it's a part 1, part 2, but I enjoyed the fight scene probably more than anything else in the episode. And it was rightfully deserved after the shit that went down in the episode. So I felt like it was a proper serving of justice in a way. Not what I expected at all. So that was also nice. It just felt like a good shift from high school drama to this like doomsday energy almost, where it shifts completely. You know, you go from small, regular, relatable issues to issues that are not so relatable to us, as we haven't faced the threat of being eaten alive at our high school graduation.
Or shot with poison arrows, or, you know, having to have our blood drained by
or any of it, or having to drain a slayer to survive, or any of it. So the shift from where we were to where we are now was really fun in a way, and entertaining and exciting, and obviously very savage.
Yeah.
Simply put.
I'll give us some moments to speak on it, like obviously at the end when we get into the actual fight sequence and stuff too, but like, did you expect this outcome for Faith at all? Like, seeing where we started and where we've been at, like, I think it's kind of funny because like you've just made the comment, Faith kind of almost like we had this coming, like being built up through the episodes, not just from like, you know, the big graduation day part 2 fight sequence and stuff, but just like I felt in your words like that was also kind of geared towards the culmination of what's happened with Faith. Like Faith's been at like a fucking little bitch the last 6 or 7 episodes and basically asking for it. So like it's Buffy's chance to be like, you had it coming.
Yeah. She acts like very callously. So I think that for someone to flip the table and be callous toward her was very proper. And who better to have done that than Buffy herself? So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with this episode. It's definitely one of the ones I've watched the most. Like you, I was a little gay boy with my brother throwing each other around this, pretending to be Buffy and Faith. Like, we would argue over who was going to be Buffy, and I mean, there was always injuries. No,
well, I love that, but for me, like my sister liked Faith, and it was easy for us. Me and Courtney in our prom coverage, which you haven't heard yet, the first time ever, we did like a little Buffy and Angel script, like table read kind of thing. Like we actually did the scene for the breakup in the sewers. Like she was she was Angel and I was Buffy, because obviously that would be funnier. But I was like, you're not being Buffy. So like I never had that instance with my sister where I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be Buffy, not you. Like she always wanted to be Faith, so that was easy. So if I were in your situation, you like, which one did you pull for? Obviously probably Buffy, right?
But it's weird though, when I was younger, I guess we didn't have the same morals, maybe, because Courtney, I know you've said a lot about Faith, and you're just a bit like you're getting a lot of ick from her. But when I was a teenager, I fully backed Faith, and I didn't support any of her decisions, but I just loved Faith so much. And I don't know what that is, but watching it now as an adult, yeah, the stuff is messed up. But I just absolutely loved her.
I could see that. I think that as a kid, I would probably feel the same way. If I was watching this when I was younger, like Brandon did, I would probably be more geared toward liking Faith. But now that I'm an adult and I have more of a moral compass, I guess, intact, her actions hit a little bit differently. But there are parts of Faith that I love, and I do love her character, just to put that out there so people don't think this is like me doing a Xander thing where I'm just constantly talking shit. But I love Faith, and there's actually so much of Faith that reminds me of myself and things that I actually need to work on, like as far as my own reactivity and my own like temperament, because she has a lot of Aries energy, and I don't know if you follow like astrology at all, but I'm an Aries, and we're very hot-headed and temperamental and emotionally impulsive and impatient, and it's like
Faith's a Gemini with a double Aries placement in her big three.
Yes. And I have a Libra moon, so there goes my ethics. I try to keep everything balanced. I still see everything like from both sides of the coin. So at least there's my saving grace. But like I was saying, I do appreciate her character and everything that she portrays, and it's actually going to be an element that I will miss, because I enjoy the banter that the two Slayers have with each other, and really how extreme it can get even in this episode, because you can see how emotionally charged people can be. And Faith is such a good example of that, because all she's been doing is acting on emotional impulse. And like I said, that reminds me so much of me. So I love Faith, but I don't love her for Buffy and for how she's like obviously the creator of all of the chaos the last half of the season. So
I'm gonna follow up with that to say I agree. Growing up, I absolutely loved Faith too, but I also was more geared, and I still kind of am, to be drawn to like the darker characters. Like whenever I was watching Harry Potter, I always liked the evil side and stuff. Like I don't have the dark. I have the dark mark tattooed, on my inner arm. I don't have the fucking little classic triangle with the wand and all, whatever, the Deathly Hollow symbol. That's what the fuck that's called. I just have no brain today, apparently. But it came. I got it. But I always like to root for the bad guy kind of thing most of the time. Like in Killers, I'm like, yeah, stab her in the eye, like chop her fucking leg off, shoot her heart, like all the things. But I'm also like trying to go for our protagonist too, just as much as the antagonist. But Faith's story is just so layered. That's why I've given her so much of a platform here in our walkthrough for season 3, and like so much attention to detail, because her overall arc in the series is really cool just to witness and stuff like that. And I like the element that she brings as the twisted opposing shadow to Buffy and her Slayer energy, and how she went the wrong way. It gives us the perfect example between this episode and like all our themes and metaphors we've been kind of been leading to. It's like Buffy's darker half. That's where Buffy could have went, or any Slayer could go if they choose to pull into the darkness that is within them, that where their kind of power stems from, as we'll learn later on as a breadcrumb, not a full-on spoiler. But it's so easy for someone to do that, because you're in this world where death, mayhem, chaos is always happening. So it's very easy for you to lose sight, especially when you're isolated all the time. And I think that's something so important. I'm going to go ahead and kind of say this now, even though I think it written for next episode. It's so nice, the unity that you have and the formation of bonds in this show, and especially this season, for Buffy to have found and also continued as a Slayer so strongly, even coming back from the dead, to have a friend group first off, but then obviously by next episode to like be unified with the whole senior class. It's just cool whenever you see like what happens when a Slayer isn't so isolated, what happens when a Slayer has a support system or just some humanity intact in her life, because I think that's what gives Buffy such a different like approach to everything and a different outlook on things than what Faith had, because Faith came from nothing. Faith had nothing, as we've talked about, whereas Buffy was the complete opposition to that, so I love how they did this mirroring of like dark Slayer, good Slayer, and really just how it kind of tail ends in this episode, and like where Faith ends up for now until whatever happens in the possible future with her, because right now she's sleepy sleep.
Sleeping. I just wish they'd given one thing that I do wish we had in series 3 would have been the prequel kind of how she got to Sunnydale beforehand, and like had almost like a montage of different clips that led her up to give her give the audience the better understanding of what we do understand her motives, and we do understand they do give us little tidbits, but I think it would have been really nice to have a Faith-centric episode and have her backstory.
I think we would all agree if the show was made today in a way over the stretch of the series, especially 22 episodes, but even in an 8 to 12 episode spectrum, shows today, they usually give a singulatory episode for something like that. Like, you know, episode 4, 5, 6 or something like that would have been primarily literally a flashback episode kind of thing to like let you know where she kind of come from, maybe get to see Faith watch her die or something like that, and see her first battle with Kakistos, have a fun little callback episode where he's still alive, and you know it comes after Faith, Hope, and Trick or something. That would have been really cool. And they in ways really never did that with characters, that now that I'm thinking about it across the whole series. I mean, we had certain things, and we get great flashback moments, especially like with Angelus and stuff that we've seen, like with Becoming. We get some little, you know, portents in the past, like with Drusilla, and little tiny story building stuff. But I'm like, even in a spectrum like that, like they did last season with Becoming Part 1, they kind of could have done that a little bit, maybe sprinkled into this, since we get a little bit of those moments between like Faith and the mayor, like Faith in the graduation dress that he's trying to get her in, and things like that. You know, the conversations that are had there, that would have been perfect placement for something like you just said, you know?
Yeah.
To kind of give us a build up, and then also make us feel a little different too, not just like, yeah, bitch, you deserve to get that fucking shit in your belly. So yeah, I like that. That's cool. I didn't even think about the fact that we never really got that, because we're just breadcrumbed a little bit. But it also is kind of nice too, because then it kind of leaves us to feel a little bit more sorrow for her whenever we just get those little teeny snippets, like in Enemies, where she's like, my mom never got me a dog. She was always drunk on the fucking couch, passed out. Like, the fact that it just leaves our mind to basically brainstorm and be like, damn, she had to have had it rough if she never wants to talk about it. We never see it. You know what I mean? It makes it that much more dark for her, not knowing what could come to light because of it. Interesting.
He really also wanted to throw someone through a window. Like, or be thrown through a window. You know when you have a fake fight? Like, that's always been a weird thing. I'd be like, so cool, but obviously in reality, not so fun.
Listen, if I wasn't afraid of getting in trouble, you know I would have threw my sister right through that window, in the scene out, like, down to choreography. I would have been outside making those sugar glass for us to smash each other through and shit. Get my retractable knife so that way the knife in her belly would, like, really hit the whole thing. All right, cool. Well, let's get into the actual episode. I don't have an Into Every Generation this time, so here we are. Into Every Generation, everyone graduates, sort of. There you go. There you go. That's a good one. But not in this episode. The next episode. I'll clip it and add it over there. Not really. We open at Sunnydale High as students are collecting their burgundy caps and gowns for graduation. Courtney and Xander not so at each other's throats, speaking about how she lobbied for teal versus the maroon. That does nothing for Buffy's complexion, by the way, and how he comments at least the color they went with has more dignity, considering that he's probably going to die in it, especially since he's made it this far. And that's kind of scary. I didn't even think about it. I saw some other people commenting that this situation and the lead up kind of made people feel that Xander might be killed off at the end of season 3, just because of his commentary here. I saw that in some reviews, and I had never thought about that. I was like, damn, what if they had killed Xander off? Like, some people would have been happy, but you know, those people that unfollowed us would have been really upset. Like,
oh, you've had unfollows from this?
Yeah, I still have a review on Apple Podcasts that's like, I had to quit listening to this show because they are Xander bashers and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, you definitely don't want to go listen to Prophecy Girls podcast. They have stickers that say Xander slander forever. You know what I mean? Like,
they literally turned it into a brand.
But if they continued listening, they would have those moments, because they're choosing to get that like at the end of the pack or at the end of Becoming Part 2 for Kick His Ass and all this other stuff. They're choosing to like go off of that, or some of the other derogatory shit that he says that's very misogynistic in the fucking show, because obviously from a 2025 lens that's completely different than a 1998 lens or 7, 9, whatever. We just don't speak that way and act and operate that way anymore. It's just not cool to do as such. So, like, make your jokes if you feel like you got your friends and your groups and stuff like that you can go there with, if they have like dark humor, they're into that sort of thing. But you can't just do that with your everyday person. You know what I mean? If we lived in this day and time, Xander would have got smacked around or, you know, killed. Like murked, something.
Yeah.
So yeah, somebody definitely like hated on us for that, but I really wish that they would come back and listen to all the episodes where we praise Xander. Like, have fun with us on Bewitched, Bothered to Bewildered. Have fun with us a couple episodes ago. The Zeppo, like all those episodes where we're praising Xander and having fun with him. Like, we got to give the good and the bad. We can't just be like fucking blindsided and like wear rose-colored glasses on this show. Like, the fuck.
And I think I can give some Xander praise here. So, when I was a teenager, I did have a crush on Xander. Looking back on it now makes me feel physically sick, but yes, I did have a Xander crush. That's my nice Xander commentary. we can move on now.
Well, I'm going to add one little pinch to that before I get back into the script. Whenever we watched the Nightmares episode, whenever he appears naked in the classroom with his underwear on or whatever, I commented on him. I was like, damn, look at Nicholas Brennan's arms. Like, Xander looking like a snack in this episode. Like, I take that dick. Like, all these things. Like, it was a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Either way, we then find Willow participating with students in yearbook signage, Harmony coming up to ask her if they can sign each other's, and there's no doubt that they both wrote like the kiss of death that we learned about, not a mind, out of sight, aka have a nice summer. That thing that you write when you have nothing good to say or anything to say at all. I love the dialogue that they have here voicing how they always wish that they spent time together, and Harmony fake ass saying like she was always impressed by Willow being smart and all, basically calling herself fucking dumb. She's like, I always wish that I could be more like that. I'm like, you mean like that actually like smart, like, or just like have an open mind or thoughtful? Yeah, gotcha, Harmony, clocked you, bitch. But it's also so funny how they break, and then Buffy comes up to Willow and she's saying like how she's gonna miss Harmony and miss everything else, and she's like, don't you hate her? And Willow's all like,
yes, with a fiery vengeance. She picked on me for 10 years. Vacuous tramp. It's like a sickness, Buffy. I'm just missing everything. I miss PE.
I think that's so funny that they put in here, because oftentimes you do get that nostalgic wave for leaving things behind during an end of chapter vibe, especially something like this. And you do find yourself getting a little sentimental, kind of no matter what. There's been plenty of times, even like old friends, like if I hate you and stuff like that, say we work together, and I'm using from real life experience, like, and you just choose to leave, I'm going to be happy you're leaving because you caused some kind of energy that I just didn't want to be around. But I also think back on all the times that like I used to have good memories with you and how I'm not going to be seeing you anymore. That still flashes through my head. You know what I mean? I might not feed into it and act fake in that moment, be like, oh, I'm going to miss you, like these bitches did. But it's a relatable energy, and I like that they put it in the episode for her, like, to be talking about how she's going to miss the soda machine, how she's going to miss, like, you know, like, gym. Like, she's like, I miss PE. Like, you know, it's funny because it's relatable.
It's very relatable. I hated most of my class. I did not enjoy school at all.
Same.
So I was very in the Willow camp of things. So I definitely had the people coming up to me who had picked on me for years and saying, oh, not have the best summer, have a great summer, but it's going to be so sad we're not going to school together. And I was like, what's wrong with you?
Listen, they all right. Like, I'm thinking of the toxic masculine guy that comes up to sign your yearbook and he's like, have a nice summer. And I'm like, you forgot to put comma faggot after that. Like, you called me every day for 4 years. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I need you to write that in here because that's the only word that could come out your mouth for 4 years. What are you talking about? The fuck? Like, no.
So did you, I guess everyone had yearbooks, because in the UK, I don't think anyone has yearbooks. We had people would just sign our shirts.
We did that in middle school. Like, we would wear a shirt on the last day of school and everybody would sign that. We did that then, but it was more common in high school years. Now, that's not to say, I think that was an energy portal kind of thing where the shirts kind of happened, because I'm sure while we were doing it in middle school, high school people were doing that. By the time I got to high school, it was very big on like sign your yearbook. I only have my 9th grade yearbook. I didn't get a 10th, 11th, or 12th grade one for whatever reason, but I remember being so popular, like between like all the people, and I don't mean popular, but I hung out with all kinds of different cliques, and I had to add and insert pages into the back of my yearbook so people could actually write more in there and sign stuff. Because I come from like people that didn't just write "Have a Nice Summer" is probably written 3 times in my book, and it's got at least a little heart at the end of it. But like, people were writing like fucking a paragraph in my book, like how they liked having a certain class for me, how they loved me talking about Charm the whole time and writing down little spells in my little notebooks and shit, and like always talking about Buffy. Like, these are little things that like I totally should post actually on the page or something from my yearbook. It's not my graduating yearbook. I wish it was. But yeah, we did that.
I'll dig out my t-shirt and we can post that as
there
well.
You go. I also got to show Courtney the cute little artwork that you made for us as well. The two then talk about how Buffy's not really on board with the missing the shit energy. She doesn't get graduation. You just get a piece of paper and nothing changes. I love how they have that little framed mindset around growing up, thinking things won't change, but they will. Like, that Buffy's still kind of living in that space. Buffy may not even go, especially since on that day the mayor's set to ascend and she can't do both. This getting discussed as Xander comes up to note that he's heard who their commencement speaker is, and guess who it is? It's the mayor. We then cut over to a man's home we find belonging to Professor Lester Worth, answering a knock at his door, finding Faith having been sent by the mayor to speak with him. I'm getting tired of seeing Faith behind all these doors, like in Consequences, like the mayor opens up the door and this bitch is standing there, and Enemies, Angel looks over in the doorway and she's just standing there. I'm just like, if you open a door and don't see Faith, I'm gonna be upset. at this point, because I was like, they're giving her all these moments. I really clocked that. He invites her in, noting his excitement on receiving a call from the mayor, reflecting his interest in the professor's research. We find Faith is here to kill Lester as she pulls a knife, asking him to face the wall. Interesting how she wants him to turn away from her originally. Like, she can't do the deed to his face. It's still playing with that little bit of that cross in her mind, like, should I, shouldn't I? Like, am I this, am I that kind of thing? But of course, Lester freaks out and says that he will scream. And, that's okay because Faith understands that people would do that. And he begs to know why she's doing this. And Faith concludes, as she stabs him to his face up against the wall, that she didn't even bother to ask, which is kind of dark and kind of creepy when you really think about it. But she's just following the boss's orders to kill him. As we pan by over to his wall, seeing a framed art sketching depicting a volcano eruption, which was really cool. They put it in front of your face before you really know. I told Courtney, I was like, oh, look at that, the sketch work. That looks cool, or something like that, just so that way she would remember it. I did the same thing with Faith's painting that's above her TV in her bedroom or her studio, because it's all one loft apartment like style. It basically is a studio. Her bed's 1 second away from her fucking living room and her kitchen. I could not live that way. Just to throw that out there. Her apartment looks cool, but I was like, unless you're a solo person, like if you got a roommate, like what are you doing then? But I thought it was cool because it's a little teaser. Like, obviously this professor studies volcanology, or he's a volcanologist, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it's letting us know that like the volcano is a big point of how they figure out how they're going to defeat the mayor later on. And then we fade to black and we cue the Buffy theme. Bow, now, now, now. Cool.
I did it.
I love it. He's like, I did it. I used to line them up and now I'd just be keeping them. Who cares? We come back in and the mayor and Faith are talking at her place about the deed being done, as Faith tries on a florally pink dress that the mayor's gotten her for the graduation ceremony, one that she feels wicked stupid in. And I totally agree, because she looks very out of place and quite literally groomed. And this dress is not fucking cute in the least, especially for her just in general. I mean, it's like buttons all the way up the front of it. Like, what dress has that? Like, I'm used to seeing a couple buttons in the back or something, but literally like from the bottom to the fucking neck collar, buttons. Like, who are you, Miss Mary Mac? I ain't got time for that. What the fuck? Okay, Richard, because Mayor Richard Wilkins. But it's also not practical.
You both seen For Good yet?
Say what?
Wicked for Good. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't watched.
Oh,
I haven't watched either of them. I'm not really a fan of Ariana Grande or the.
Oh,
I know. I'm sorry.
It's 𝑩𝒊𝒓𝒄𝒉 sex cardigan.
Oh,
it looks like a sex cardigan. That's what it reminds me.
I'm gonna have to look up pictures. I might eventually watch those movies, but I don't know. I can't promise anything.
Purely
I'm not
sex cardigan.
I'm not a yes for that specifically. I'm not a fan of the way they interact nowadays in general, because it's giving cringe. Everybody's talking about it on the internet. Also, I've never been a fan of The Wizard of Oz. Unpopular opinion. I just can't stand that movie. They used to put it on in daycare all the time with like The Lion King and a couple of other movies, and I just like have the illest memory of those things, so I don't like those movies. I wrote in my notes too, I was like, this dress is totally not practical for the Ascension. Who is she, Buffy from season 1, wearing a dress to slay vampires? She could wear it to the ceremony, because it at least is like a little put together dress, but it's not practical for fighting anybody, especially with Faith being so excited because later on she's like, do I get to fight tomorrow? And I'm like, not in that dress. Like I had to throw shade because this dress is not cute. Anyways, moving on.
No. It's not. No, it's not.
He doesn't agree with her, and it's perfect in his eyes. And she notes to him that it's not her. And he takes that phrase, giving Faith what we will loosely call wisdom.
Let me tell you something. Nobody knows what you are. Not even you, little Miss Seen It All. The Ascension isn't just my day. It's yours, too. Your day to blossom, show the world what a powerful girl you are. I think of what you've done, what I know you will do. No father could be prouder.
I do just want it to be taken in what he says here. It's important, and it's pretty right, because Faith doesn't know who she is. And again, even though it's not the best person to be telling her these things, it means something to Faith. And it's still along the lines of the most positive shit we've heard from anyone in her life, which is a really sad truth. But I really like what he says to her, because you can tell that she takes that in that moment. And he's saying like, this is the chance for the world to see you and all this other stuff. And all she really wants to be is seen. We talked all last episode about Buffy being seen in the prom. Like, if Faith could have got that moment, that bitch would have reverted so quick. I know her umbrella would have been black, but like we could have helped this bitch in some way, shape, or form. But honestly, if Faith hadn't been a little bitch, Buffy would have basically eventually, and her friends gave her this kind of like grace. They would have said these types of things to her had she have let them in and not pushed them away like she was doing in the men's or from the beginning of Jump. You know, she always had those guards and those boundaries up. If she had to let those walls come down a little bit and feel safe, I know Gwendolyn Post didn't help all that situation. We've talked about it, but you could have found this home in Buffy and not this bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And not choked up Xander as well. It's not ideal.
This motherfucker. Yes, and not.
Well, it depends. Is it ideal with Xander?
He's like, I was kind of in for him dying on the bed that day. Well, she moves on to go get changed into her normal gear, so that way he can take her for an icy. And I was like laughing. I wrote my notes. I was like, surprised he didn't want to take her for a root beer float. Who's for a root beer float? He had to add the float on there. A new day at Sunnydale High. Willow arrives on a bike all of a sudden after never having seen her ride one to school the last 3 years. I all said that to Courtney when we were watching. We busted out laughing because like we have never seen Willow on a bicycle. She always walks up to school. I know the first episode Xander arrives on a skateboard and we never see that again. So like for some reason I guess they wanted to have her like come to school this way. I was like, when did Willow get a bike? Did she get that for Christmas during a men's or something? And it's like we're just not seeing it. Did she buy it herself? Was this her graduation gift? She can ride it like to the college campus. We never see this bicycle again.
No, it's really weird. I thought that and I made a comment about that as well. And it looks, I mean, it's a nice looking bike.
No, it's not. It's ugly. Did you see those handlebars? They're like a big U shape or like
Isn't it like a retro? I thought it was quite cute.
Nah, I come from like the late 90s, early 2000s mountain bike or like trick bikes kind of era. I like a flat bar or at least a little.
Brandon wants like a BMX.
I just need a slight curve to my bars. I don't need a full on deviation. Like what we try.
I mean, I'm not saying I want to ride.
Yes, you do. What are you talking about? I'm getting you that bike for Christmas. Okay, Christmas is almost here.
Oh,
actually, when this episode airs, it's the day after Christmas, so you'll have gotten your bike in the mail. That is exactly a clone replica. For you, I'll even put the little tassel things that hang off that are glittery on the handlebars and a little like bell. But whenever you ring the bell, it goes bow now now now.
Wow, custom. I love that.
I'm done. No, different. Since you like Wicked, I'll have the bell go ah, or whatever. At least I know pop culture. Percy comes up to Willow and offers her gratitude for her patience and helping him pass history so he can actually graduate. Also that he's pleased with her decision to not kick his ass like she did at the bronze. And I love how Willow starts to correct that. She's like, that wasn't, like, she wasn't going to say that wasn't me, but she's like, I can't really say that was my vampire doppelganger. So she's like, I'm just going to take this as a fake victory and be like, it was for your own good. And this is also where I was commenting again that Percy is hot because that boy is a snack.
I've got that in my notes.
Do you really? He's so hot.
Also, he's so hot, but I did have like it's weird that it's Percy as well because the last episode the two of them were together was in Doppelgangland and Willow was wearing that fuzzy pink outfit and she's in this kind of fuzzy pink outfit again with smiley faces all over her bag and stuff, which was very much... I
hated it.
It's awful. And the last time I really felt a physical way about Willow's outfit was that episode. So I don't know.
Physical way.
I don't know why they would be putting those together. Maybe she's about to have sex and we're like, oh, she's about to become a woman now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But it was great.
I don't know either.
He leaves excited about graduating as Oz comes up joking about the ceremony, deterring that and Willow not taking this light because this whole thing sucks and she doesn't want the mayor eating Percy along with the rest of the senior class, thinking maybe she will find a spell or something that can help stop the event. Over in class, we get that final scene with Mr. Miller as Xander comes in mid-class, except they're all in here just playing fucking hangman. This is sucky because we did this in school. We were killing time the last few days and we were all just either playing hangman, playing heads up, 7-Up or whatever the game was because we had no schoolwork to do, but you had to be there. I'm just like, let us go home. Why do we need to be here? Like, it makes no sense. And this whole scene obviously acts as a moment for him to be in class with Anya so that she can try to further their connection and ask Xander about a potential date this weekend. I love that so much because he makes a crack wondering if that would involve the same torture from the prom, hearing about all her ex-demon days. He's like, pencil me in. I was like, the shade. But I was like, you should be glad that a girl's paying you attention, Xander. That does not happen very often unless it's Buffy or Willow, and that's a different type of attention. But I also like that she's got like an actual little crush on Xander here. And it's too bad that she leaves town. That could have been like an interesting arc, like, don't you think? Like, between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
This also works as a way for him to mention the ascension occurring at graduation, because that's his excuse to why he can't hang out with her. He's like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be around next weekend. And they're like, this is our second drop of being like, damn, is Xander about to die this season? What the fuck? Anya gets the biggest case of the Wiggins at the mere mention of an ascension, and rightly so. In the library, Buffy and Giles talk about the professor's murder in the paper. She thinks it's Faith because, the brutally stab energy. They don't understand the motive, though, and they discuss its potential as Giles and Wesley fence one another. I was like, this is an interesting choice of scene display. How British is this for these motherfuckers to be fencing, like, in the library? But, like, where is Snyder? Where is anybody coming in here being like, why do y'all have swords in here dueling while the school day is occurring? Like, if they ever went in there and checked his weapons cabinet, they're gonna be like, bro, you're just like, there's no weapons allowed at school. That goes for staff as well.
But I also love that he's so nonchalantly, like, reading the paper with one hand, and then he's like not missing a beat at all.
Wesley's like hyper focused, and he's like not paying any attention, still making all the moves, and like even his posture.
He's not even looked at him.
Yeah,
once.
Giles is sexy here. I will say that too, but to hop back into his thing, like, because I was thinking this as we were saying it before you started saying that, I was like, that's where Jonathan got that gun, was from that weapons cabinet.
I was gonna say that they don't care about the swords because they're still like, well, it's not a gun, like.
They're like, we still need to track down Jonathan and get that gun back.
No, Buffy got it back. Buffy replaced it.
She probably left it up there by accident.
She traded the gun for his nice wet cloth. She's like, hey, you need this more.
She's like, you need a wipe.
They conclude the mayor wanted the professor of geology out of the way, which leads to the question of how come.
I'm going to destroy the entire city, but I take the time to kill harmless Lester first.
Tying up loose ends? Lester had something or knew something.
And I want to know, too. The mayor's trying to hide. I say we go seek.
Buffy prepared to leave connect the dots behind for her new game of hide and seek, and Wesley giving her the task to check out his home later to find out anything and report back. Giles details her safety and caution for danger of Faith, them having an interesting exchange and dialogue where Buffy notes, I can't kill Faith, but I can make her cry uncle. As we know, Faith is a part of the stopping we need to occur, a small footnote to the bigger ascension. By the way, Giles is the most dressed down in this scene that we've ever seen in the series. Like, he's in a sweater. He's not in his normal suit attire. And I thought this was cute because breadcrumbs / tiny spoiler, now that we're leaving school and he's not part of the council and doesn't have to dress up formal, this is kind of a foreshadowing of the future attire that we'll start to see from Giles, a little bit more casual and laid back. And I like this because he doesn't have to look like Wesley over here with his fucking button up and hardcore tie and all this other shit. We get around
the British costume,
basically. His tweed. He's putting his tweed on the back burner. He's switching it out for some cashmere sweaters. In scene transition magic as Xander enters, pushing Anya along with him, having heard the end of their convo, noting Anya has info and a history lesson for us.
About 800 years ago, in the 𝐶𝐸 valleys above the Urals, there was a sorcerer there who achieved ascension. Became the embodiment of the demon Lohesh. I was there cursing a shepherd who'd been unfaithful. His wife had wished that all his sheep would lie. Can we cut back to the chase? Sorry. Lohesh was... It decimated the village within hours. Maybe 3 people got out. I've seen some horrible things in my time. I've been the cause of most of them, actually, but this...
I'm sorry, Lohesh was a 4-winged soul killer, am I right? I was given to understand that they're not that fierce. For all the demons we've faced.
You've never seen a demon.
Xander, get your hands off Anya. Why do you have to drag her in and manhandle her into the library? She was coming and she told you, leave her alone.
I don't think she was wanting to go in there willingly, though. She's like, all these people wanted to kill me, remember? I tried to kill all of y'all. He's having to push her along.
I don't know. He shouldn't be dragging her in there like that.
True.
Xander.
Look at you. Pure feminist. I love too, just I guess to note too, whenever like Anya is giving her whole little like speech on it, she was like, the last time I was in an ascension, she was like, I was there like cursing a shepherd who had been unfaithful to his wife. She was about to go off on another tangent like she likes to do about how she was there to kill people and curse them and shit. I'm like, Anya, like cycle it in, calm down. She does note that they've never seen a demon, and I love how Buffy butts in. She's like, killing them professionally 4 years running. And Anya clarifies, sure, those are human-demon hybrids, such as vampires, but when the ascension happens, the entity becomes pure demon, aka, for one thing, they are bigger. Outside in the courtyard, as set up for the ceremony, pun intended, commences, Snyder walks with Richard, letting him know how the flow of the procession will go. But we all know that that's a bit inaccurate, because Richard lets Snyder know that he's done well here, especially when it comes to keeping things under control amongst the crazy things that happen in Sunny D. And he will surely make certain that his debt is repaid in full. I love Courtney's future comments about this. Like, you all brought it back. You're like, well, there he goes, getting paid in full. Like, full on swallowed. Like, I'm like, fuck.
Poor Snyder.
And I love how in the beginning I'm like, pun intended for the commencement. I'm like, he's like, the procession will happen this way, this will happen, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'll turn into a demon snake and kill everybody. Like, he left that part out, and I'm like, that's a crucial part of what's going to happen at the ceremony. Thank you, Mayor. Like, what? Over in the library, the conversation is continuing and then is joined by Willow and Oz. Her quick to wonder how come evil Anya's ass is up in here too. You know, she's already got a like bad case of Anya because she does not like her from all the interactions she's had. But they clear up the Ascension talk real quick, and if we couldn't clear it up any further with them, in walks the mayor to fill in some blanks. Let me tell you, when everyone grows on edge, it is so palpable. I have never seen our Scoobies tense up as much as we did right here. Like, he called this the inner sanctum. He might as well call that the inner rectums, because everyone's assholes were in their throats.
So, this is the inner sanctum. Faith tells me this is where you folks like to hang out, concoct your little schemes. I'll tell you, it's just nice to see that some young people are still interested in reading in this modern era. So, what are kids reading nowadays? The beast will walk upon the earth, and darkness will follow. The several races of man will be as one in their terror and destruction. Oh, that's kind of sweet. Different races coming together?
Buffy voices that he never gets tired of hearing himself speak, and the mayor comments to Giles he's raised one spunky little girl there. And I'm like, the word spunk towards a British person probably means a little something different. Like, I'm like, don't call her spunky. Like,
that's the same thing.
Literally, though. And then it's interesting because he chuckles through gritted teeth, adding, I'm going to eat her. And it's kind of vicious. Then once again, it's that play on like how he's happy and then all of a sudden he's dark. Like this crazy energy we've been seeing with him all season. And Giles, feeling challenged by his dark father Mirror, grabs that fencing sword and stabs the mayor through his torso with it. Love this act, but of course him pulling it out unaffected because, he is impervious to harm. He notes the fear he smells amongst the gang and leaves when ordered because, Buffy tells him to get the fuck out, or Giles does, one of the two do. And he smiles to himself, very jovially mentioning how some of their deaths will be quick if it's worth anything. And then he calls out he will see them all at graduation.
You don't want to miss my commencement address. It's going to be one heck of a speech.
I love how he makes his exit. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed that. I pointed out to Courtney, but that shot is really cool because as he walks away from the camera, it turns and he's walking towards the camera and it's floating upward, rising past his head to show like the camera looming down at all of our Scoobies at the table, basically showing the next time that he sees them at graduation, he's going to be seeing them from a higher perspective. Like, because that's where the camera goes. Mm-hmm. I was like, that is so cool for cinematography to have pulled that. I love your face right now. You're like, whoa, mind blown.
That really is. That's one.
I told Courtney to pay attention to that when we were watching it, but I didn't say anything about it until right now. But that's such a cool, interesting shot because that literally is clever. Like, to say that you're going to see them from that perspective the next time. And it mirrors his words, like, see you at graduation. And
I was just fixated on like the flip-flopping and like the kind of going from that nice jokey to really scary mayor. And he does it about, there's a big 6 changes within like 2 sentences or something. It's crazy how he switches, and as an actor he's so he does it so easily and so convincingly.
Yes,
you buy into it.
Harry Groner, like after watching it, it's like whenever you watch other things, you're like, nobody else could have played this character. His laugh is everything. It's like so him. Like Harry Groner was born to be the mayor, and to tail off of that with Giles, that way I give him his moment. Giles had a great composure up until the point where he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill your little girl, basically, which is very interesting because like what we get in next episode, the way he reacts with Faith being injured and his care for Faith, it kind of mirrors like what Giles is acting like right here with what he chooses to do with Buffy and how he interacts with Angel, which we'll get into more then. But like for him to like grab that sword and stab the mayor, even though he knows it's going to do nothing, it's still a fucking like an action right there to say like, I'm gonna show you still, like, you ain't gonna talk about my bitch that way. That's my girl. Like, it's the whole thing. But like Daddy Giles all day and tomorrow, because he is that is awesome. He grows angry really, really fucking quick, and I'm just like, too bad.
Can we just pause 1 second?
Do you have to pee?
Just for like 2 minutes. I just need to go for a pee.
Okay.
Thanks. 1 sec.
Love how y'all shut the door like a dog going running or some shit. I love him so much. I think he's like one of my favorite guests.
He's so cute. I love him. You should keep a little bit of this waiting part in here, and like where he says he's gonna go pee, and then do that thing you did and be like do do do, but put the actual like chime in.
Yeah. All right, he's back. Can you still hear? Is everything connected? Are you fine?
Yeah, all good.
All right, cool. Did you give it a shake?
Yeah, okay. I'm washing my hands. Don't worry.
All right, cool. I'm gonna leave that put in. Out in the halls, we find Anya fleeing fast. Xander after her to say that they could use help from her, but she claims any sane person would be running right now and fleeing the area. That's basically what she will be doing. Cordy and Xander then have a little funny moment too after she does walk off from him, where Cordy's like learning about what's going on, and that's how we get Cordelia kind of wrote back in. But I love that little comment, just to like say it because it's in fun dialogue, and I could have left it out, but I like whenever they're like, are you gonna go to 6th period? And then he's like, I'm thinking about skipping it, and she's like, me too. They're like, wow, they're just playing hangman in there, so why are we gonna go? But also it's like nice too, because you can tell Xander and Cordelia, between the opening of this and this little interaction here, they're kind of okay with being around each other again, because they're obviously going to go off, like maybe skip 6th period together and hang out somewhere or go to the library or do whatever they're going to do. Like they're not at each other's throats the same way, so it's a little continuation of that energy we talked about in the prom last episode. Over at the Summers residence, we move to find Joyce arriving rather confused to Buffy packing her bags and wigging on her about running away again. But this time with all her mom's shit, as we see she's in her room packing Joyce's things. She tells her mom about how she will definitely be missing graduation as it's a pointless ceremony anyway, and Joyce rhetorically joking to ask if some demon's going to attack the school. Then by the look on Buffy's face, she gets that is exactly the fact.
Oh, I see. Oh, you know, Buffy, looking back at everything that's happened, maybe I should have sent you to a different school.
Joyce doesn't want to leave, but finally Buffy does persuade her by spilling the more positive version than the speech that we saw at the end of last season, and her mom finally agrees to go.
I am not leaving you to face an awful monster if I go anywhere you're going with me.
You know that I can't.
Well, then I can't either.
Mom, I know that sometimes you wish I were different.
Buffy, no.
I wish I could be a lot of things for you. A great student, a star athlete, remotely normal. I'm not. But there is something I do that I can do better than anybody else in the world. I'm gonna fight this thing. But I can't do it and worry about you.
Buffy, I just can't.
You stay, you'll get me killed. You have to trust me on this. Can you do that?
This is a better interaction than what we saw them have at the end of Becoming last season, whenever, like, you know, obviously, like, she kicked her out. They had this whole coming of age kind of story, this whole, like, you can't do this, you need, like, whatever. It's like the flip side of that. I'm glad, like, as I jokingly say, like, Buffy channeled the more positive vibes, and so did Joyce in this. But also, this is just showing that Joyce has come so far this season with knowing about Buffy and who she is, and it's been a, like, process since Anne, and everything that she's witnessed, everything that's occurred. She's also had so many instances where she's been like enveloped in this energy between like Dead Man's Party or Band Candy or Gingerbread. She now sees what it's like to live in Buffy's shoes. So now she understands and actually hears her daughter when she says like, no, I have to go. I have to do this. And you can't be a part of it because you will not be safe.
Yeah, it would have been nice if she had a bit more reassurance for her, though. I think if like Joyce had, because Buffy says a lot of things, and in my head, I'm making up that they had a nice exchange afterwards, and she's like, no, I don't wish your life was any different, and like you do this incredible thing, blah 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 blah. But it's very much Buffy kind of taking the parent role and like parenting Joyce almost. So I would have liked that, but like I say, in my head, that happened afterwards.
Yeah. I will say, though, that it does give us, like, as you're saying that, I'm kind of thinking of something that I touch on later. It's a little bit of foreshadowing for Buffy taking charge. Like, Buffy having her own voice and saying, like, no, this is how things have to go, and I'm doing things my way kind of thing. Even though that would have been great to see, I think it's a precursor to some of that energy. We go over to Willow's with her and Oz sitting together in her bedroom, and she attempts to research in books on ways to stop the ascension we had heard her talking about earlier with magic, and her not having any luck, feeling like she's no witch. Us seeing poor Amy, the rat over there in the cage too, that Willow hasn't been able to turn back, and she's even commenting on that. She's like, I can't even turn poor Amy back. And I love how Oz notes, he's like, how Willow's taking good care of her, and she seems to be in a good place emotionally. I'm like, Oz, how are you reading a rat right now? Like, Oz is so cute. Obviously, Willow continues being stressed and is upset, especially since her boyfriend is ironic detachment guy, and it would be swell if he expressed some panic, and he encourages that he doesn't have to do that because she goes on a tangent freaking out about how she's not going to get to live after high school, and he suggests with his lips on hers that she can live a little right now, aka it's like, you know, rip her panties off all over again. But in a nice, subtle way, aka basically the two finally have sex for the first time, and this eases Willow's mind right up. Gets those endorphins flowing, the dopamine, the positive vibes, if we like to call it. How cute for Willow. Like, I mean, we talked about it when we were watching it. Like, for her to come off of like her trying to force sex on Oz, not forced like in a bad vibe, but she was trying to like get him to have sex with her and it brings it back up, and now they get to kind of do it the right way, you know? And I mean, I think in a way too, this is Oz's version of freaking out, because even though he's acting like ironic detachment guy, I think in his mind too, he's like, you know, even though like the way I commented last episode in the prom, Buffy's going to take care of everything, we're going to be fine, like we always seem to make it through, he probably still has that lingering opposite side of his thought process where he's like, just in case we die tomorrow at graduation, or like in a couple of days, whenever the graduation is, maybe we should go ahead and plug Willow's hole up with my raging boner, so that way that way she and I can feel a little bit good, but also we can have this connection, take our relationship to the next level. You know, I gotta make it icky, I can't just be normal. But it's cute, but it's also like perfect timing, because if they do die, like if that were the case, or one of them were to die, however, whatever, at least they had this moment together, and that, like, regardless, like I said, it's going to give a good dopamine boost. At least Willow's going to shut the fuck up, and he's like, this is the only way I know how to quiet this bitch down today, so here comes that day.
Well, and I love that he's when she's like, what are you doing? And he's like panicking, you know, and I'm like, in a way it goes back to what you're saying. I think his way of panicking is being like, well, the reality is we don't know, and it is 50-50, and it could go either way. So I'm going to panic and impulse move and do this because I am not going to panic like Willow. You know, he's not the type to panic and be like freaking out visually to where we can tell that Oz is frightened or something. So I feel like it just goes so in alignment with his character, because he is such a like emotionally detached person usually, like Willow just said, that the only way he can connect to emotion in a state of panic is to do what he did, which is to be intimate with Willow, which is sweet. And like you're saying, at least he's kind of acting proactively with the thought in mind that we might not make it out of this. We don't know. So I don't blame him, and I love it for Willow, because she got to be distracted and happy for however long that was, hopefully longer than 5 minutes. So
the werewolves have got some stamina.
She got that D, that distraction. D for distraction. I love it.
Also, I just love the way that you always say the werewolves. The werewolves.
Oh my gosh. Another one.
It's the best thing is that, and your Kakistos. I'm actually disappointed you didn't do a Kakistos earlier on when we mentioned him.
Well, I mean, it didn't call for it, you know. Listen, I got some fun stuff planned for next season. And at this point, probably Angel as well, since everybody at this point knows with our prom coverage that we announced that we're going to be covering Angel as well too. So that's double the times that I can potentially have to do stuff. You know, the episodes that Tyler joins us for, he'll be over there acting like me, doing the same thing and spoiling all the fun facts that I'm trying to say and everything else that Tyler always does.
Basically, he crosses off the whole final slays before we get there.
Werewolf. There you go, Stacy. Hey. At the professor's home, Buffy is putting a box of his things together that she finds of potential interest. Angel coming in the door to not so stealthily, aka the one time we heard him coming in, because usually this motherfucker just appears and like scares her, like in the mirror or something like that. And what was it, earshot, or other times like he just happens to be there. Like it's fun. Like they had to put a little twist on that. And he's obviously came because Giles let him know that Buffy was going to be there, and he like potentially thought that she would be running into Faith, and he's there for backup. We also learned that the professor was a volcanologist or something. That's what Buffy says. That's why I put that there. She's like, or something. They move together to take this stuff to Giles, and out on Main Street, Buffy voices her not so thrilled energy of being around Angel and how she can do this alone, especially since that he's left her, after prom and having not heard from him since. She's like, you could have left town, like blah, blah, blah. I was like, he should have. Or no, excuse me. Courtney's like, he should have. Be like, didn't you say he was leaving?
Didn't I say bye?
Can we just give a moment for poor Lester as well?
Oh,
the poor volcanologist. I mean, poor Lester. They move fast with their rentals, because if you go back and watch the clip, there is a for rent sign on the window already.
Stop!
That guy died yesterday.
No.
Literally,
Listen.
like, how fast do they make? Like, they move.
Americans. That's what happens with capitalism. They just want to like put a price tag on everything. Somebody dies, we're like, oh, so we need to fill this space. Rent is due. I will say that, like, to follow up on that, I didn't notice the sign, but I did laugh because he conveniently has an apartment or whatever this is right on Main Street, like 2 doors down from the movie theater. Like, they just exit right onto the main strip that everybody's always walking down. I'm like, so he can go to the espresso pump anytime he wants because it's right across the street. He's also can go see a movie anytime. Like, was he looking out his windows when Vampire Willow walked down the thing? Was he in there also, or already dead whenever Cordelia was rushing down there when Vampire Willow and Xander were coming to attack her? Did he see the van speed up and the white hats hop out with their crossbows? Like, yeah, like he's obviously had to have seen a lot. Did he watch Buffy and Angel go down in the men's with the snow everywhere because he was snowed in? Like,
basically, he should have seen this coming.
His window was right there. Like, he had to move his sign to be like, I can see out here. Dead.
He had to move his for rent sign for after he
I wish I
dies.
could have called back other moments, like, because he's already dead. I was about to say, did he see Faith shoot the arrow in the Angel? But he's already dead, so
He's already dead.
Poor Lester, rest in peace. This culminates obviously in a huge emotional outburst between the two on how it's not easy to be around each other and work together through the Ascension.
This is my last office romance, I'll tell you that.
Get me out of your face.
Isn't it even a little hard for you?
How can you ask me that? Just because I'm not acting like a brat doesn't mean I don't feel
It's
anything.
nice to know what you think of me.
What do you expect me to say when you just attack?
I just can't do this anymore. I can't have you in my life when I'm trying to move.
Buffy's words cut short when an arrow embeds through Angel's chest and he collapses to the ground. The townspeople around seeing this, as well as everybody, freaks out. We pan up onto the roof of the movie theater. Behind them, as Faith stands holding her longbow, the one that she stole forever ago that she loves to use. She's standing up there next to a vampire, and the vampire scoffs at how she missed the heart. And then Faith retorts back to him.
Meant to.
I really like how the scenes always kind of in-scene transition this way. Buffy ends on that note where she's like, I just can't have you in my life when I'm trying to move on. And then as soon as she says it, the fucking arrow goes through his chest, and she's like, well, fuck, now you're not going to leave town because you're fucking sitting here and got to be like, this is going to delay everything. Now we got this to worry. You know what I mean? They don't know it's poisoned or anything yet, but like, God damn it. Like, she's like, I'm trying to, she hollers up to Faith.
She's like, now I got to take care
She
of
hollers
you.
up to Faith, and she's like, bitch, like, come on. Like, we're trying to have a moment.
She's like,
here.
I was just getting him to leave.
Face up there with her longbows, and she pulls the fucking bow back, and she goes, check out the lust bunnies, and then she pops the bows. I'm dead. At the library, Buffy and Giles work to remove the arrow, Buffy commenting on the unfortunate nature of Faith's shitty aim, since she only knows how to get a human's heart these days. Ooh, I should put little like, ooh. No, I like ours better. And obviously this lets Buffy know that it had to be her. Well, she's like, I've narrowed my suspects down to one. Wesley noting from the files Buffy's brought to them how the professor led an expedition digging through lava beds from an old volcano and how they found what they assumed was a very large carcass, potentially a dinosaur fossil under it. Giles and Angel coming to the fact that that was a demon and how that makes sense with why the mayor would want to hide this info. Them having connected some dots to understand the mayor is only impervious until the ascension. Once he's a demon, he can be killed.
Great. So all we need is 1,000,000 tons of burning lava. We're saved.
Buffy finishes bandaging Angel's wounds and helps him stand, but he gets dizzy and passes out onto the floor before them. I love how when we come back into this next scene too, Buffy's like, okay, or no, right in this scene, because he goes to like fumble, she's like, okay, you've been real klutzy today. Like, that's not his normal demeanor, but clearly we see what's about to happen. Giles examines the arrow as Angel clarifies it's poisoned. He can feel it, and that's because his arm and shoulder have now grown numb. And Buffy notes that his not so dead, normally cold body is burning up, which I thought was so interesting. So now he's warm. Like, ain't no Edward Cullen in this bitch. Question for you, obviously, Courtney. Like, were you under the impression up until this point that Faith just basically missed and wanted to injure Angel to cause like a little bit of distraction versus the poisoning element?
No, I think as soon as she said that she meant to miss the heart, I knew that something bad was going to happen to Angel. I didn't necessarily relate it right away to poison. That makes the most sense,
Sure.
Obviously. I just knew that it wasn't going to be a good outcome for Angel, and I didn't think it was just going to be like a matter of pulling it out of his body and then going on about our day kind of thing.
I don't remember if I have it in here later. I feel like I wrote a note about it, but I don't remember exactly where it is. But I was like, how convenient for them to like, obviously this works in a way to get the distraction happening, and that's exactly what Wesley calls out a little bit later. Like, it's clearly, it works as a deterrent tactic, but it's also kind of like so cliche how Angel's now wounded and how like everything else is unfolding. It's really cool for the storyline, but it is kind of like one of those things I'm just like, of course y'all are pulling this for the show, you know what I mean? Like, I love it at the same time though. I do like it, like the element's cool, but looking through it with this lens, I was just like, yeah, that makes sense for what the show would be trying to do. Like, of course, naturally, now Angel's injured and Buffy's gotta baby him, and they gotta like remember that they love each other. And I love it too, because like we'll get into it a little bit when he's like basically dying in the bed. He's all like, oh, Buffy, I wish I could like still be with you. Like, I was stupid and foolish to be leaving. This is next episode when he's talking to Willow, but he's given that whole spew about how he doesn't need to leave and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, is he really gonna go? Does Angel the series actually happen? You know, at this point.
But he plays damsels so well. He's been damseling all this series, like with his shirt off. It's been like he's either been sweating or crying with his shirt off, like every other episode.
Listen.
And no one's complaining, but he does it very, very well. Like last series, he was like, I don't think he was shirtless that much, but he was just obviously evil and leathery.
He was definitely more shirtless this season. Y'all, when he came in Guns A-Blazing and Beauty and the Beast and he had them chains, I was like talking about Rihanna S&M. Like, boy, I will play that while we fuck.
Yeah, he's just had his top off all the time.
Yummy. Okay, anyways, before I get crazy, the light's flickering again. The fucking Demogorgon's about to come in here. Vecna, is that you? I ain't running up no hills today. My energy is spent.
I will.
Giles then suggests that they move Angel to his place before sunrise, and he will get the others there. I'll get the others here. Wesley, being a standout guy, voicing the council has records of many mystical toxins and that he will call and see if he can get info on what this is. I love that element of Wesley trying to help. I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but for him sticking his neck out, like he's obviously, and this will pay off later. I'll say that this way now as a breadcrumb, and I can't go any further than that because I need surprises to happen in ways. But I love that he's choosing to like kind of stand for Angel in this point, basically choosing this option versus being like the other Watchers Council members and basically how they treat the situation when he brings it to them. But he's on like Buffy and Giles' side in a way right now, and he's like, I'll try to help as much as possible because I know Buffy cares about this. This is obviously an element that we need to take care of. We don't want Angel to die because he knows now that Angel's on the side of good with everything that's been happening. And of course, the fact that Buffy's bitched him out 5 times now since consequences about his actions having consequences, aka him not being a part of the group if he doesn't get in where he fits in. You know what I mean? Like, act on par, P's and Q's, Wesley. Angel's face looks like Jonathan in the tower during earshot, and Buffy encourages that he will be okay. Then we go over to Willow's again, and her and Oz are post-coital, having a talk about, feeling different, and then it's ruined when the phone rings, which obviously we know is Giles. At City Hall, the mayor brings the box of 𝑩𝒊𝒂𝒃 out as Faith comes in telling him the deed is done, aka, Angel's been shot up and doped up with poison. And loving how Buffy was all panicked as she sucked in all the negative vibes that were flowing. Like, she's like, you should have seen her. Like, she has this whole moment. I'm just like, bitch, shut the fuck up. She's like, it was great, boss. He speaks on how he is going to ingest, aka eat, several of the spiders that are in this box, telling Faith to take it easy for the rest of the night before the ascension tomorrow. But this bitch is jiving and wants to do some more damage, and he's laughing at her, calling her a little firecracker. Us learning that her mother used to call her that when she was little, and Faith catching herself to stop this positive memory of hers, and going back to how she likes to fight, and hopefully can do that tomorrow. He confirms this to be true. Faith feeling a bit safe at his need for her, and sits with him and continues the story that she was about to tell, talking about that childhood memory of her being a badass jumping off the tallest rock into water at a quarry no one else would dare to do. He smiles and she wishes him luck with his spiders and then heads out. Obviously, I gotta talk about this moment for 2 seconds, but like I like this because once again, like we were talking about in the beginning, it's kind of like a positive moment from Faith's past or versus the trauma that she's experienced. And what I like most about this is how it's displaying her potential. It's a great opening up moment, connection moment between her and the mayor, but he's the bad guy, so I don't want to focus on that. I kind of saw this in a different layer, which I haven't really put out there before, but her basically saying that like all the other kids were scared shitless to jump off this rock. To me, that kind of was like that innate potential to be a slayer in her, fueling her to say like, hey, I'm not afraid of danger. I have all this like stronger and braver than the other kids vibe. Like that makes her calling seem like predestined. As we know, the slayers are already just basically waiting to be activated either by the death or at a certain age. All slayers tend to be somewhere between like 15 and 17 years old when they're called. So I thought that was really interesting to think about it from that perspective of this is like her not unleashed power yet. That's just basically dormant inside of her waiting for that activation. And it helps to feed her bravery that she has to jump off this rock and like have this type of exposure. That's also probably what's gotten Faith to where she's gotten now, not just on the bad arc, but like made her basically survive all the shit that she's been faced with across her life because she has a little bit of like, the power to overcome most of the challenges that she's faced. You know what I mean? Because she has this innate ability that's going to make her strong one day. It just sucks that she chose the route that she did to like go down that thing. In that, I did find a review by Shangel, of course, because I'm always putting Shangel's reviews in here. And they commented, not only does Faith love and respect the mayor, but she does trust him wholeheartedly. And you can sense that deep down Faith just wants to be loved. She was neglected by her mother growing up. She was abused by Gwendolyn Post. Her watcher was murdered. She feels like the Scoobies treated her like an outcast, and she's looking for a place where she belongs. The mayor has given her that. In return, she'll do anything for him. And part of the reason why they love Faith's character journey is that they understand it and they can totally empathize with her, which is kind of what we were saying earlier. The ironic thing is that if Faith had opened up to Buffy and consequences instead of blaming Buffy, she would have gotten everything that she'd secretly been seeking. She'd have friends, a surrogate family, and a place where she fits in, which is so funny. I forgot this was in here and I said that earlier. Maybe I remembered it subconsciously. And then they finished with saying, it's frustrating to watch Faith make mistake after mistake when you can see that small spark of decency hidden below all of the pain and anger. And I thought that was a fun way to connect her like journey with the mayor and these little moments that we're seeing between the two versus truly commenting on myself.
Yeah, because I see and hear a lot of people talk about the father-daughter, like the shadow version of the Buffy and Giles relationship. Moments like this, I see it on Faith's part, but not on his part, and I see him using her more as a weapon.
Yep.
Because whilst he did say, it's like he listens to it, but then he kind of cuts the story off and goes, get some rest. And he doesn't really ask any other questions. Like because she's really opening him up. She's not doing that, but she's really opening it up to the mayor and giving a really personal story. And he kind of just deads it and just goes, get some rest. Big day tomorrow. And so that kind of counters that argument that he has a fatherly like feeling towards Faith.
Yeah. It's not so.
But then later on, his reaction, I don't know. I flip-flop between the two of those.
Sure, yeah.
But I totally do see both sides of that. But in this instance, in this part of the episode, I definitely seeing her as a weapon and a tool.
Oh, 100%. You know, and I mean, I can't really get into certain things in certain ways, but we'll be able to talk about something else one day when it comes to some of that type of stuff. But we do know that he does care about Faith in like a certain aspect. But I also can see that side of things too, to where like he didn't sit with that moment. They could have sat there and talked for a little bit longer. He could have been sitting there eating her spiders while they chit chatted. for the night. Since she clearly has nothing to do, why not hang out with him if that's your father figure? But no, he chose to send her off to go home, like to get some rest. Yeah, sure. I mean, he's being thoughtful in that way, but I don't know. I feel like if I had finally said some of the things that I said and spoke about a memory, and then somebody just didn't reciprocate any kind of words to follow that, I would have just been like, huh. And I'm like, okay, maybe I am being a little used here. Maybe they actually aren't seeing me. They're hearing me, but they're not listening, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Paired with what he said earlier, I was commentating on, like, it doesn't match up. I can see that, like, that little blur of lines there between the fact that she's really just a weapon to him at the end of the day, blurred with the fact that he does care about her.
The last part he did talk about was when he compliments her, he talks about her strength and her power. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of it, really, not rather like her as a person. He is talking about her strength and power, which is, again, lends itself to that he sees her as a weapon.
Like how she
and he needs to pay attention more, because he got really lucky getting Faith. I'm just going to say, because what was supposed to be the end game? Was Mr. Trick supposed to be here at the graduation? No.
He would have not lasted long.
Something like no. All right, moving along. In the school science lab, Willow, Oz, and Xander work well into the night as she sends Xander to get some supplies from the magic shop for her to investigate the mystical poison. Upon leaving, he bumps into Anya there to ask he leave with her and flee town in her car that's waiting outside. How does Anya have a car? Like, where an 1100-year-old demon went to the DMV and filed for a driver's license with no date of birth certificate and like all of these other what? Did you steal a car?
She probably stole Amy's ID.
She's going as Amy now. Yeah, exactly. She's like, I am Amy.
Amy's a rat, so she's like, I might.
That's why my hair color's a little flippy floppy. Sometimes it's dark blonde, sometimes it's really light blonde. It's a whole thing. We'll get into that later too.
My dad used to get so confused with Emma Caulfield because the hair color. And he would always like, who is this woman? Even though he would always watch it with each episode with me, and he'd get really confused. And I was like, Dad,
oh, your dad,
she's from like 4 episodes ago. Yeah,
like, who the fuck is this? Where was I? Let's see. Oh yeah, she has the car waiting outside, the car that we have no clue how she has. Noting that he will die if he stays here, and he agrees, and she expresses,
when I think that something could happen to you, it feels bad inside, like I might vomit.
Welcome to the world of romance.
It's horrible. No wonder I used to get so much work.
I thought that was really sweet, because obviously her crush is continuing, and like her morality also is really taking form. Morality and mortality at the end of the day too, because now she's like a human. But like, especially after her line of work towards men, now she's kind of growing affection towards one in a way, which is cute. Like, even though it's not like really fed out in this season or anything like that, like Anya leaves town, all the things. I thought it was really cute. I'll go into more of it in a second, but he tells her going isn't an issue and how he is staying here to help his friends fight for the cause, and she lashes out emotionally how he is stubborn and that she hopes he dies. But sad that they are going to kiss they aren't going to kiss as he walks away, because he goes to leave and she's like, aren't we going to kiss? I'm like, you just told him to go die. Like, I love how Courtney too, like I have a clip of it. I think we were recording here. If not, then my bad for saying I did and I didn't. But she laughed out loud whenever she's like, fine, I hope you die. I was like, wow, this is literally me and Courtney talking to somebody whenever they don't give us what we want. But the scene is really cute, and it makes you wish Xander and Anya, like I kept saying, like had been around each other more and had more time to really focus and hone in on this energy. And I don't remember if I brought it up. Of course, here goes Xander attracting yet another demon. Like, I don't know if we talked about that in the prom or anything like that, but like, I know she's not a demon anymore, but you get the point. Like, now he's attracted another fucking ex-demon this time that's a love interest for him or likes him. You know what I mean? We had Ampana, we've had fucking Miss French. Like, poor Xander at this point.
I think if you're there, it's just going to be slim pickings on getting someone normal, quite frankly. So.
I watched my DVD commentary just to see if there was any like stuff for the bonus features in this, and Joss said in that DVD commentary that they chose to further a bit of Anya's story past her one-up episode in The Wish, because they really liked how an old demon had turned into a high school girl or human, and they liked the ability to be able to utilize her. And I really like that too, because obviously we got the role of recurrence with her and doppelgangland. We got to see how that situation kind of unfolded. And now we get to see her here and bring the story full circle, being like that piece of the puzzle to give them info on the Ascension, because she's witnessed one herself over her 1100 years. So the fact that they did this, I thought was really cool to work her in. I love how the show does this in general, because obviously Faith wasn't supposed to be here originally. She was supposed to die at the end of Bad Girls, and neither was Anya technically. She was supposed to be in that one episode for The Wish. And I guess maybe they liked her acting across the episode, and that's why they just chose at the very end of the episode for her to be like, wait, I'm immortal now? Like, what the fuck is happening, after her power center was gone and shit like that? Like, I don't know. The fact that they chose to give greater potential for furthering character storylines, it makes you really glad that they put that in here versus just like letting them go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
At Angel's, Buffy sits using Jonathan's cooling rag to keep the sweat off Angel's face, and she leaves him to join Giles out in the foyer. I can't with myself. As Wesley comes in telling her the council couldn't, or shall we say wouldn't, help due to the vampiric situation, because they don't give a fuck. Which is a bit understandable, but again, Wesley, being a standout guy so far this episode, did try to convince them. Buffy is stressed about watching her lover die and grows more concerned while Giles consoles her that they will find a cure. Wesley speaking on how the council ordered to focus on the Ascension, but Buffy is already rubbed the wrong way by their unwillingness to help, and she snaps a deadly glare at Wesley, interrupting him with this kick-ass moment.
Orders. I don't think I'm going to be taking any more orders. Not from you, not from them.
You can't turn your back on the council.
They're in England. I don't think they can tell which way my back is facing.
Giles, talk to her.
I have nothing to say right now.
Wesley, go back to your council and tell them until the next layer comes along, they can close up shop. I'm not working for them anymore.
Don't you see what's happening? Faith poisoned Angel to distract you, to keep you out of the mayor's way, and it's working. But we need a strategy.
I have a strategy. You're not in it.
This is mutiny.
I like to think of it as graduation.
That's my quote.
Shh. I'm going to clip that. You can tell us at the... No, I'm just kidding. He burned it. He's acting like Tyler. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to continue on this one last little sentence, but Buffy leaves to go to the school to help the others to catch a breather as he stands stunned, potentially thinking now about future job options for himself. Because isn't that like where Buffy's like, get a job? She's like, you're out of a job. You're fired. But like, I wrote a whole thing about this because like, and I wrote it this morning just to say, so I'm really glad we didn't record last week because I didn't have this in here at all. I was just going to make a couple little comments, but I sat with this morning because I was like, you know, this is the one thing I didn't actually point out, but like, holy fuck, Buffy just quit the council. And Buffy quitting the council is not shocking here. Like, if you don't realize this has been brewing since Helpless, that whole situation already had her side-eyeing the council, plus them firing Giles on top of it, helped put that bad taste in her mouth for them, along with what they put her through in that episode. That broke any trust that she had, not just with Giles in that situation, and obviously that got mended, but she turned that fit against the council. And then in consequences, Wesley pulled that stunt where he brought the council in right when Buffy, through Angel, was actually getting to Faith, and these fools storm in and ruin that. The way she walked off from Wesley in that end of that episode too, or somewhere in towards the end, asking if he still had his ticket to the mother country, was in my mindset a little bit of a foreshadow to this moment, I like to think, because it's her walking away from the council. And by the time we arrive at this moment, Buffy has a whole list of reasons to be over it. They just keep giving her more evidence that they don't understand her, they don't respect her, and they don't see her as a person. And we already know Buffy isn't someone who likes taking orders to begin with. And she literally thrives when she follows her own instincts. Like when she told Kendra back in What's My Line, when Kendra's like, it's procedure, and Buffy's like, I like to do things my way. It's all so connected. I eat it up because, and I guess technically it like goes back longer than Helpless. Like it's been stemming from that, Buffy wanting to do things her way, her repelling orders. But anyway, her telling Wesley that she's not taking orders anymore, I always cheer for that moment, because that's the Buffy I like. Her choosing herself, she's choosing her own authority. She's basically saying, I'm the Slayer, not your little employee, and we're not doing this anymore. Giles said it best too. He's like, the council is waging a war, Buffy is the one fighting it. And I've always said that Buffy should be like as the Slayer, the one in charge. And honestly, this is probably one of those also moments that like make me resonate with Buffy so much and so hard. I've always been the person who like pushes against the status quo. I'm rebellious by default. And if something feels rigid or like outdated, I'm already halfway out the door. So seeing Buffy step out of the structure and claim her power and speak up, have a voice, that just speaks to me on a personal level. And it's no wonder that I relate to her, because I honestly, growing up, learned from her, and she's doing exactly what I would do nowadays because I've learned from her behavior. You know what I mean? Like, what do you two think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think I wrote the same kind of thing in my notes, where it just seems like she's finally done letting other people call the shots in her life and letting other people make her choices and decide what her mission is in life, you know? And like you're saying, her instincts serve her best, and her intuition and whatever she thinks and feels in the moment. You know, she's the one that's out here doing this, and she's the one that's out here experiencing the life that she's experiencing. So I wholeheartedly understand from her position to kind of be like, you know what, fuck you, because you're not doing what I'm doing and you're not feeling what I'm feeling. And if you, because you have the easy spot and you can just call these shots, or you think you can because you don't have any emotional or physical investment in this journey, fuck off. You know, like, I can call my own shots. I've done that already time and time again and proven to be successful. So you either trust me or you don't, but I'm going to continue to kind of trust myself and do my own thing. And that's with or without your support. And like you're saying, you march to the beat of your own drum. You always have. I'm very much like that. I was born, I think, to do that and not like
queer people
orders.
do that.
It's like yeah, and I can understand that, having been in therapy now too for so many years, that like that's a good and a bad thing. You know, there are places where you need to learn how to compromise and you need to be more adaptable to other people's stipulations because they serve you best. And it is harder for someone like me to say, okay, you know, you're right, and I'm going to do it your way because this one time I am wrong and my instincts aren't serving me well or whatever. But when you're 99% of the time right, like Buffy is, and you're 99% of the time displaying through your actions that your ideas serve you well, your instincts serve you well, you know exactly what to do, what you're doing, and how to get what you need to get done, why are they even arguing with her? Why are they not fully supporting whatever it is that she needs? So that way they can get quick, you know, they can get a quicker momentum going. Would they help her with the Angel situation so she doesn't spend so much time distracted by it? And not only that, but then the whole entire goal gets put back in the front burner, which is the fact that we're trying to stop the mayor from ascending, you know? So I feel like, while it almost seems like the council's like a child, you know, where it's like, are you having a temper tantrum and you're just really so by the book that you're like, well, we're going to go by the book because we don't give a fuck about the circumstance.
Listen too, though, like two things. One, obviously, they know who Angelus is. Why would you cure him? You know, why would you help out the situation? Because if you're on the line of good, like I get the scales on that side, but at the same time, like you were kind of saying, if you helped and cleared up the situation, then that would help speed up the process of getting back on track. Like if Wesley could have encouraged that, but at the same time, I bet you shit for shit not that Wesley, or shit for shit, so I don't know which one I'm trying to say, but basically Wesley calling them and telling them the whole situation. I'm all holding up a phone like I'm fucking in 1999. The damn kids nowadays be like, Wesley going and telling them, I bet you they immediately knew, like, oh, we've heard of this vampire toxin. We know the Slayer's blood is what the cure is, as we're about to find out in a minute. I hate that I'm spoiling that now before we talk about it, but in a way we'll get to that later. And they didn't want to say this because they know how, like, possibly a little bit, unless it hasn't. I don't know. Maybe Wesley said some things because, you know, Giles didn't tell them in a way. Maybe he said some stuff in the beginning, but Giles is different on Buffy's side in a different way than Wesley is. But you know that they were like, okay, well, we know that the blood of the Slayer is the cure for this. So if we do that, then either Faith dies or Buffy dies. Like, at the same time, though, like, why not offer Faith up, like, just like they're about to try to do? And get a new Slayer activated so y'all have somebody that's not evil on the side of.
We don't have a broken one anymore.
That too. But my thing is, like, they should, I guess my whole point too is they should know that regardless of what they do or don't do to help or not help Buffy, she's gonna fucking figure it out anyway.
She always does.
You know, and and that's my point. Like, at least whatever the cause is to cure Angel, telling her doesn't automatically mean she's gonna sacrifice herself. You know, telling her doesn't automatically mean she's going to go kill Faith either. Telling her gives her the moment she needs to make a choice, which is all she's trying to do. And that's what's frustrating. And that's why I feel for her in this moment. And I would have done the exact same thing, because I'm like, at this point, whatever you're doing to be so by the book and follow rules is just prolonging the help that I'm inevitably going to give myself if you're not going to. And it's going to prolong your own mission. So you're kind of being hypocritical because you want to go play by the book and you don't want to help cure Angelus, whatever. At the end of the day, there's also a laundry list of reasons why you should help cure him, because most of you would be dead if it wasn't for him in some way or the other. So there's so many different reasons. So I get why she didn't even want to spare those arguments, you know, like she was just so done with it. And she was like, you know what? At this point, fuck off, and I'm going to do my own thing, and you can see what happens. And when I save the world again, then we'll have a conversation about how I told
when the
you
screen
so.
goes black, everybody goes, good for her.
I think, the frustration of this series, of series 3, has been people not listening to Buffy or falling on the wrong side, and some of that has been very questionable.
And it never stops.
Never stops. No, it doesn't ever stop. But I would say in series 3, and no, I don't really want to say anything, but there are future instances where this happens and it's extremely frustrating. But this series, it feels like she is really starting to trust her, like you say, trust her own instincts. Even that's displayed with telling her mum she's going away. And it's not a good discussion. It's not up for debate. She's going and saying, I can do this the best.
Yep.
Whereas end of this last series, she was still kind of saying that she has to do it and it's her role. But she fully accepted it in becoming. And I feel like this graduation, not only is she graduating school, but she's also leveling up and becoming like an equal to Giles, I think. Whereas before it was Giles was very much like that teacher father figure. I feel like they're level with each other at this point. And I don't know if Wesley helped that. Maybe Wesley and the interference of the council, maybe that helped push that.
Well, if you think about it, in the same scene, he's like, Giles, talk to her, and he goes and stands behind Buffy to back her up and goes, I have nothing to say right now.
Yeah.
So you're valid, absolutely.
But sad though, because then the last scene with Wesley was like, oh, they're getting on finally.
I know, right?
He's done something nice.
And I do I think it's the next episode, whenever Wesley actually does come back and say he wants to help. And Buffy acknowledges that too. Like, I'll say it again then, but like she does acknowledge that for him. And she goes, like, without being nice about it, she's like, okay, glad to have your help. Like, I'm glad you're on board. You know what I mean? We need the arms and the strength in the back, like, and AKA for you to lay on the floor and do nothing. We'll get to that then though. At the school, Willow informs Buffy on what they've learned of this poison and how it specifically is called Killer of the Dead, used on vampires with no instances of it being cured. Kind of fucks up, because anytime that's been used in vampires go, like, I wonder how they die. If they turn to ashes, if they just like dead like a body, or like what happens to them. But hold it, Oz finds a passage in the text that he's reading, and he doesn't want to voice it after reading it. Willow moves over to read it over his shoulder to herself, and realizing what it says and then hesitating. And I love Xander's, come on, you guys, the suspense is killing Angel. Like, it's a perfect line for him in Tension Breaker. Like, it's so funny. Courtney laughed into. Oz looks to Buffy and confirms the only known cure is for a vampire to drain the blood of a slayer. Buffy takes this in for a moment and then voices good. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, she's like, well, if Angel needs to drain a slayer, then I will bring him one. Xander lacks in the connection, but Willow is fully on board and voices how if Angel drains the Faith's blood, it will kill her. And Buffy firmly stating, not if she's already dead. Like, holy shit, that's so intense. Like, you're like, oh, I remember watching this as a kid, and I was like, oh my God, like, I did not fucking expect this. Like, Courtney, I know you did not see that shit coming, like, the blood of Slayer gonna fucking cure this. Like, thank God there's a second Slayer, but what if Buffy was still just the one? Like, what do you do? I would just...
Didn't matter in the end.
I mean, it didn't. And obviously we got this thing like think about it in that way too. I'm like, drink her blood real quick, rush her to the hospital. Obviously we see this works out next episodes, but
yeah, I mean, obviously your first instinct is to want Faith to be that Slayer that happens to, but yeah, I mean, It does set up a good thing, but of course you're like, of course. You know, of course it's
thing.
this. This is the
Awesome.
only
Drain it,
cure.
not
of
8 ounces,
course.
not a 16-ounce cup. The
Not
full
cup.
fucking body worth. Like,
Not a shot.
drain the blood of a slayer.
Yeah, because I thought, couldn't he just like licked the end of Buffy's knife? Like, that would have been okay.
Licked it.
You know,
No.
licked it.
That's not nearly enough. Like,
Not
she's going to
enough.
need
Like
a
my
full
fireside or
blood
just a couple of
transfusion.
tablespoons, like, cured. No. You gotta suck that bitch to her bones. Crumple.
Speaking of sucking, also, can we talk about the werewolf and the witch? Their clothes are the same pre-sex. I hope they showered after sex, or do you think they just went straight back into their dirty clothes? And
They
went
did
back?
not. You know, they're near death. They're not worried about no damn
I mean,
they're like, you know what? We're not even going to shower. We're just going to put our cap and gowns on for
Willow's
tomorrow.
over here dripping because I didn't see no condom in sight. Like, Oz just leaps on her. Like, we know Willow don't have condoms in her bedroom. Oz definitely the type of fucking cliche 90s guy that carried one in his wallet. So, you know, he raw dogged that shit up and pulled out. Like, she still got his. Like,
season 4, there's witch puppies.
Veruca. I think this is so good. Obviously, too, Buffy is pretty considerate, claiming that she would have killed Faith like beforehand. She's saying like, well, not if she's already dead. Saying like, I'm gonna not let her have to die to a vampire slowly because that sucks. She's like, I got my blood sucked by a vampire already one time before, so like I don't want her to go through that instance. So I'm gonna go over here and kill this bitch and then drag her dead body over here for him to suck her dry. Like, I'm like, does that still work though if they're already dead? Kind of like the same thing in the like lore of Interview with a Vampire, how they're not supposed to feed from the dead type thing, you know? Like, is it the same? Like, are you really pulling someone's vitality? I feel like there's some kind of like symbolic energy there when you're draining the blood of a slayer for this cure. Like, you're draining the life from them. You're pulling that essence. That essence of the slayer especially is kind of already gone once their body is just left behind, except for Buffy, how she got brought back and like she was still the slayer. Like, I don't know, it's weird territory to like navigate through, but I'm just like, all these things popped in my head. I was like, all about some scales, but you know, whatever. Moments later in the library, we find Willow on the computer trying to figure out Faith's address for Buffy as she speaks with Xander in the weapons cage. She claims it's time for her to confront Faith. He expresses he doesn't want to lose her, and she promises not to get hurt. But that's not what he means. I like that little like tie in there because he's saying like, I don't want you to go into this dark side. It's a little interesting touch because it puts it out there like this could change Buffy like it did Faith, like a whole metaphor in itself for confronting your shadow. Like, you know, Buffy notes Faith wanted it this way, super true, and made her choice as she pulls Faith's knife from the cage to take with her in this fight. Love that fucking element. I did not expect that coming the first time I watched it. I was like, damn, she gonna go take this knife that we saw got left in the wall and she took out in the end of Choices, bringing that full circle that they have her knife. Like, you forgot about that little touch. And I'm like, damn, they were already like gearing up for this. That's fucking cool. And then obviously we get the short montage of shots of Buffy changing and mentally preparing herself, which is really interesting because Buffy's looking at herself in the mirror, contemplating what she's about to do, looking at the person she is. Meanwhile, Faith's over there punching that non-pillow punching bag in her apartment, like feeling her power and all this other stuff, getting out her frustration. Basically, she should have called somebody guy on Tinder to come up here and bang her hole up or some shit like that, because we know Faith's like the hungry and horny kind of vibe. You know, she's about to eat her Twizzlers in the second, so she's got the hungry part down, but she just, you know, got to deal with the horny. Angel's obviously struggling in his bed across this montage as well. And at the end of the montage, Willow closes that sequence on the computer saying that she's found the address. And now we enter into the fucking coolest part of the episode. Back over at Faith Studio, she is chilling, listening to Sunday Mail by Spectator Pump, reading comics on her bed and eating those damn Twizzlers. Yum. A perfect last meal. I love Twizzlers. Licorice is so good.
My comment was, what's she reading? Is she a DC or a Marvel girl or an indie comics?
Did you look? I didn't look.
I tried to look.
They're probably for a copyright issue or something like that. I mean, it's Jaws, so like, of course, Faith's reading comic books. They probably had to make a fake comic because they couldn't put actual like content in there because of, like I was saying, those issues. The music on her stereo switches off by Buffy's hand from behind her, and she turns to see Buffy across the room in the iconic leather red pants and black top that they ran the fuck out on everything in this time because it's the cover to the Buffy video game. I gotta pull this down and show Courtney. Sorry, I had to lift up there. You like my legs? But of course, this is the outfit that I was telling you about, Courtney. Like, it's the cover of the Buffy video game, but this is literally the same outfit that she's wearing in this episode. But she's paired with that leather jacket, all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, this outfit's everything. But you know, and we all know that a Slayer in leather means she's there to do some badass shit. Like, when she's wearing leather, she's there to like channel who she is. We'll see that in the future. Breadcrumb. Faith tosses her licorice away and chews through her words to Buffy, smirking, "Is he dead yet?" Buffy clarifying Angel's not going to die and how her attempt was clever. Faith noting the mayor said it was wicked painful as poison goes. And I love how she keeps using the word wicked because that's a total Boston thing. And Faith's from Boston, Eliza Dushku's from Boston, you know, so it's like her own little flair of word. Buffy informs that there's a cure, and Faith, bummed, asks what it is as Buffy coldly confirms, your blood. Faith swallows that last piece of candy with a deep gulp, squinting at Buffy. I love how she takes that in. Like the acting here, beautiful. Buffy calls this poetic justice, and Faith scoffs how Buffy surely isn't going to take her alive, and Buffy delivers quick that won't be a problem. Look at Buffy, all dressed up in Big Sister's clothes. Buffy walks towards Faith, the two walking a circle like two predators waiting to pounce as she reminds Faith of how she told her that they were alike, but how Buffy's always held it in. Faith asks if she's ready to cut loose, and Buffy agrees. Faith nodding at her as they come face to face, closing the space between them, Faith egging her on.
Okay, then. Give us a kiss.
Totally lesbian, just saying, like, y'all just fuck instead. Like, come on. Anyways, I can't ruin the tension with jokes. Buffy delivers a hard punch to Faith's face. Faith spinning back to whip one across Buffy's, and the two taking my favorite Slayer fighting stance against one another. We pause for a moment's beat while the two eye each other down, and then the showdown begins as Christoph Beck's final fight score comes in, making this beautiful moment and fight sequence one of my favorites in the entire series run, as I've already notated. Buffy comes fast at Faith with more blows, and they give it all they've got. Kicks and punches are flying, both using resources in the home as any Slayer would, because, you know, they're full of resourcefulness. When Faith, too, hops up and goes to punch Buffy's face, and she punches the fucking floor, I was like, damn, you know your knuckles broke up. That was a full force, like, punch going at fucking floor. Like, I'm surprised that shit didn't dent. Faith has started to feel the fight, and it has gotten aggressive. The two end up on the ledge by her window frame, and Buffy and her, of course, have to crash through it like Chris wishes he could, and landing out on the rooftop outside. Faith collecting herself from the fall as Buffy whips a handcuff onto Faith's wrist and the other cuff on her own, binding them together in an attempt to keep Faith from fleeing as per usual. Buffy telling her to stick around as Faith punches her, continuing the fight. How cool that this bitch just handcuffed herself to this crazy fucker so that way she wouldn't flee. Because we know it's Faith's, like, Faith runs off, essentially. She always gets away. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you sticking in this because we're outside now. You have the opportunity to hop down that rail and jump down, like, not fall off into a truck. But like, there's obviously a little fucking step ladder down there on the side because we see Buffy use it at the beginning of next episode. But damn, I was like, but also it's Slayers. Like, we see Faith break that so instantly in like a little bit. But I was just like, this is fucking crazy. But that whole like sequence between their fighting, like, I thought it was fun. I don't remember if it's in my Buffy fun facts or not, but there's a shot whenever Faith kicks Buffy over into her flat screen TV that's up against the wall, and Buffy falls back down, and it doesn't break the TV or anything, but then when they keep fighting, you see the broken glass on the floor. So it's like an error that they put there that did not happen. Like, if it had a shattered, that would have been 10 times cooler. But like this rough and tumble, this is so much more aggressive than the way Kendra and Buffy fought. I mean, I know they tore up Angel's apartment to hell and back in season 2, but it's so fucking awesome. Over at Angel's, we find him panting in pain while Oz and Willow nervously sit with him. And then at the library, Giles finds a book that he has researched. This is the demon or whatever. They look through it, trying to find a potential picture of the type of demon that the mayor is going to ascend into. They do find as such in the form of a page showing this thing is going to be huge, because as the page is illustrated, it unfolds from the book a few page lengths outward. And you're like, oh shit. Xander's like, we're going to need a bigger boat, which is a callback to the movie Jaws. Over at City Hall, the mayor sits eating the fun of the fucking dead spiders on his desk. Like, this shit is on a plate. Like, it's not really. I think it's just on his desk, like disassembled. But he's like chewing on the fucking legs. And I love Courtney's face whenever he popped up and he's got them damn legs hanging out his mouth. I was like, what the fuck? And I love how the vampire that's in the room with him is watching him in disgust. He's like, ooh, like he's got a sour look on his face. I'm like, bro, you drink humans' blood all the time. Like,
I know, I was gonna say, you know,
what? But he's obviously been sitting here tearing up these things. He takes in the last little bit of its legs, which, fun fact, that was made from black licorice. I think that's what the DVD commentary said back in the day. It's like little pieces of licorice, that last little bit. That's why it kind of looks gummy if you really pay attention. And then through black stained teeth, he comments as we hear digestive noises in his tummy that he can feel the changes starting, his organs shifting, making way for the ascension. This powerful moment being interrupted for him when a second vampire barges in, not having the respect to knock during dark rituals to inform the mayor that there's trouble at Faith's. Before we close out the scene, so that way I didn't ruin the ending. For Buffy and Faith's fight, this is like what I had to say on it. By the time you get here, you've been waiting for this moment, like since Faith turned evil, since enemies. When Faith said, "You're gonna kill me," you're not ready for that, ... yet. Like this whole moment we're gonna get to in a little bit is basically substantiating all that as evidence. The season has been quietly building tension between them from the moment that Faith arrived also. And every interaction, every like disagreement, every emotional fracture has been like this slow crawl. And by the time we're standing in this apartment, like you can feel this big release coming way before the first punch even lands. And it brings us home in this episode where Buffy has to do basically just that. Angel's like, him getting poisoned is one of those like, oh wow, they're doing this like I was saying earlier, like this cliche trope kind of moment. And as cringe as it is, I live for it because it helped bring us to this situation. It raises the stakes and finally hits Buffy right in her heart, because that was the best way to target this bitch, go through Angel, because Faith, if anybody, knows how she feels about Angel. And this is what seals the deal for her final confrontation with Faith. I feel like what makes it so exciting is that it's not just two Slayers fighting. They're like fighting as equals who know each other's strengths, weaknesses, and Faith moves like she's dancing with danger, whereas Buffy moves like she's finally done holding back in the choreography. It actually lets them both look very powerful. Everything feels really fast, heavy, and real in this moment as well. And there's something really cool about how it becomes Buffy's literally like she's facing the version of herself that she refuses to become in this moment too. And honestly, like Sarah and Eliza, they sell this in a way that makes it feel almost uncomfortable to watch whenever you're going through the whole entire sequence, shot for shot. I used to be so mad whenever it would clip away to the mayor in this moment with Giles and Xander in the boat. I'm like, get back to the fucking fight. What are you doing? Like, whatever. But you can tell, like, in the choreography that these two trained for it to be just as good as the stunt doubles. And you can tell that they cared in this moment too. Like, their chemistry in the fight is just as sharp as its dialogue that they tend to have with each other as well. Like, the music too with Christoph Beck, like the pacing, the moment that follows, like it all feels like the exact confrontation that the season has been promising from the start that we didn't know we were going to get. And it's like two versions of the Slayer myth finally clashing in a way that feels earned, like more than anything. That's why I love this fight sequence. I could have probably talked about this for 20 more minutes, but for sake of podcast, I'm like, that narrows it down to like why I love this and like thematically what I feel when I watch it. Like it makes it, this is such a great combat. And that's why I love Slayer against Slayer, and why this also hits a lot differently than the way Kendra and Buffy were fighting each other, because they didn't know they were Slayers fighting each other when they fought initially. These two bitches know, you know, they know their power. They know it's one or the other at this point too.
I remember the first time I watched this, just after the stick around and the handcuffs go on, it cut to a commercial break. And I remember going, oh my God, what's happening? And being like desperate to see the next part, being on the edge of my seat. Then it comes back to the Mary the boxes and Angels. And like you say, I was just like, get back to the fight. That's what we're here for. But yeah, I absolutely love this fight. And I have watched it over and over again. My friend used to record. I didn't have a VHS recorder back in the 90s when this was on, so she would always record it to me, and I remember running straight over to her house to get the tape to go back home and watch it all over again, and I would do that every week.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of action sequences. I love fight sequences in general. That's why I love like superhero movies and anything like that. When there's a element, like even if there's not supernatural powers involved, just like a good fist fight in an action movie or like whatever is, I'm always living for it. And I love whenever we get bitches like girls fighting against each other. Like it ain't no catty hair pulling in this shit. There ain't no fucking pulling my earrings out. Like these motherfuckers just going fist to fist. Like it's so fucking good. I mean, I know Courtney likes a lot of different stuff, horror, and like typically watches a lot of the same stuff that I do, but I don't know if it hits for you because I don't know like your experience with action movies and like, fight sequences and stuff. But I hope that resonated for you the same way. Like you loved watching this just as much as we do.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Even though I don't like necessarily, I want to say feel that from you or see it necessarily in your actions. I don't see your eyes growing wide because I wasn't staring at you. I was watching the TV screen. You know, like I said, I'm glad it does, because like these are the moments for me that are just like so fucking iconic in the series when we get, even if it's just Buffy fighting a vampire whenever she does it, especially when she knows she's got that shit, like especially as we've seen her grow into season 2, like beating the vampire up with the trash can lid and Ted, and that vampire didn't stand a chance. I love moments like that. Like I know, it's just really cool.
But I think that's what I like the most about this too, is because you don't know where it's going to go, you know, because her and Faith are so equally skilled and equally, like, I don't know, kind of prepared for this fight and moment. And you don't know who's going to give way to an emotional, because that's what it really ends up being, is if one of them loses the fight, you know, it's the first one who gave way to some sort of emotion. And like you said earlier, Buffy's in the headspace where she's like, I'm going to come full force. I'm not holding back. I have nothing left to lose. And Faith is just kind of in her normal headspace that she's always in when she's fight or flight, you know? So the fact that Buffy came in and she probably was slightly more clear-headed on her intention and knew the intention before coming in, which Faith did
Faith was
not,
blindsided.
which was a big disadvantage. But yeah, and obviously I think as Faith being a little bit cocky and conceited,
arrogant,
it seems like she undermined the fact that Buffy would have such an emotional pull on her that it wouldn't escalate as far as it did, you know, and that she wouldn't make that final move where you're just kind of like, oh, damn, you know, because I think if you as a viewer are surprised at something that Buffy does, which is a character you know so well, even this far in, you're kind of like shocked because you didn't see her do that, or you didn't see her going to do that. But also she said it earlier on in the episode herself. She said it. She was like, I can't kill Faith. You know, she admitted that to herself. So it's kind of like to end up in this crossroads where she makes a final choice to serve a final blow that no one saw coming, I think made it all the more better, you know, because it's so outside of your usual Buffy against a vampire or Buffy against someone you know she's gonna obliterate. Like, you don't know where it's gonna go. So it does make all the action-packed stuff in between so much more exciting because you're still kind of waiting to see how this is all gonna end.
And I love that for you don't know what you didn't know what was coming, and like to feed off of what kind of something you said that triggered to me, like the normality of Buffy's like humanity being a part of this too. We don't know upon first watching how far Buffy's willing truly to go. Is she actually going to go through with this? Right. But also, like Xander was saying, how will this affect Buffy if she does do this? And this is also her tapping into the full energy of the Slayer as well, to say, you know, there's some darkness in me too. This is a dark aspect that I have to bring to the forefront now. It's not something that I can bury anymore. This is what Faith's been telling me to do all season, so I guess I'm going to do it. But also it sucks because it's forced, because I kind of guess I get to say it in a second, but like I said, I didn't want to like really ruin the thematic and climatic end to this. But like when Buffy stabs her, the look of horror on Buffy's face, I said it to you while we were watching it, Buffy feels immediately gut-wrenched, no pun intended, at what she just did. Like the fact that she's finally killed or stabbed Faith, whatever. She's like, holy shit, I actually did it. But she has a reason and a cause, but it sucks. But it's still on her mindset. That's going to weigh heavy on her. Like, that's not going to be, that's why Xander said what he said at the end of the day. They want to put that out there.
Well, and especially because now it's for nothing.
Yeah, by the end, You know, said that too as soon as the episode went off. You're like, well, what's going to happen? Like, well, now, what the fuck? Like, you better go get her. I was like, you just better run after that. Like, what Buffy going to do? Hop off the building? I don't know. It's a whole thing. I like how the obviously I had that inserted in there, but like I like whenever the mayor is told like there may be trouble at Faith's, and then we get a round of cutscene transition magic back over to the trouble at Faith's continuing as Buffy and her still go at it on the rooftop, and Faith disconnects her arm from Buffy's, breaking that chain and turning away to pick up a long metal pipe as a weapon, facing back to see Buffy has whipped out her jackal knife to use against her. Faith calling out, "That's mine," and Buffy retorting, "Well, you're about to get it back." Fucking love that quote. That's in my quotes for this episode. I'm gonna spoil that now, but holy shit, Buffy's always smart ass, but there's a certain cadence in Sarah's like the crack in her voice when she's like, well, you're about to get it back. Like you can tell she's fighting through those words, like, but also still being kind of coy the way she tends to be, very sarcastic and like smart footed in her wording.
It doesn't sound like light, or there's like, that's what's missing from the usual kind of like her
banter,
cocky retorts, and like she would usually, there's a lightness in comedy, there's a distinct, even though she's still being funny and kind of smart-assed about it, like, it's not funny.
It's different this time.
It, like, seriously.
Well, She swings at Faith with a knife. Faith dodges and tosses Buffy up on an air unit by the ledge of the building, hopping up onto it and grabbing Buffy, hoisting her body up, tipping her back towards the ledge as the two struggle against one another, Faith clearly aiming to toss Buffy off the roof. Realizing that this is the literal climax to their fight, Faith voices to Buffy how she's going to miss this. Buffy breaks free from Faith's grasp and in one swooped motion pushes them aside and embeds the knife into Faith's stomach with a guttural sound from both it and Faith. Faith's noise, she's like, ugh, like, she did not expect that at all. She pulls it out and Faith grunts in pain some more, Buffy looking down at her belly, horrified with her actions. Faith holding her wound, pouring blood, awarding Buffy Shining Slayer for doing it, for killing her. Punching her down to the rooftop floor as she climbs onto the ledge, looking down to Buffy, telling her how this still won't help her boy though, eyeing a truck coming down the road and adding, "You should have been there, B. Quite a ride." Before Trust falling backwards off the building and Buffy rushing to look over it, Faith lands in the tailbed of the truck, hitting barrels it's transporting and appearing lifeless as it continues down the road. Buffy watches it disappear as the music rings a suspenseful slew of chords combined with ominous tones. We fade to black. The words "to be continued" appear, and here endeth the episode.
I find it interesting though. I do think in this episode, like, what would have happened and if Faith was the reason that the Ascension didn't go to plan anyway, because like if she hadn't have shot Angel and she had gone, she would have never have got stabbed and she would have been at the Ascension, and I guess Faith would have been distracting Buffy, so he would have been free to roam and like do whatever he wanted to do because no one else really could have taken on Faith other than maybe Angel. But had she had not done that, like, it would have gone completely different. And yeah, I would have loved some what if episodes. I don't really have a point to that, but
no, I like
think
it.
it's an interesting thing.
That's so good though. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It has some substance. I say that because your shirt, but
I was like, thanks.
Well, both. I mean, it was a joke, troll one. No, I do see your point. What was I about to say? I feel like I've already commented on a good bit. Just the fact that Faith is now like out of the picture, and now, like, obviously we know what's coming next in the next episode, which we'll talk about that more over there. Such an awesome scene, but like, holy shit, that's fucked up. Like, the whole thing is like, it's just so interesting. But I guess something I did want to comment on it because I didn't write any notes about it. Like, I don't know that I've ever really heard anybody pick this apart. And if I heard it on a past podcast or something that I don't remember, but like when she's like, "You should have been there, B. Quite a ride," it just shows that this has been a thrilling event for Faith. Like, Faith doesn't know that she's not dead, but she knows that she ain't sure as fuck gonna let Buffy take her to Angel. You know what I mean? Like, I might be out the picture, but your man's still gonna be out the picture with me, type thing.
Yeah.
Like, so she's like, "Take no survivors. There ain't no casualties left. Like, we're fucking done." But also, like, just the thrill of like her whole journey in Sunnydale too. Like, it feels very final in this, and we also don't know what's to come from Faith, except for the fact that in the next episode we find out she's in a coma and they're deeming her as, you know, cliche again, another trope, she's never gonna wake up, like all this other shit. But the fact that like, I feel like I just want to jump into the next episode, but I know I told you when we were watching that next episode, I was like, look at Buffy after she, you know, isn't dead in the next episode, and Faith sitting in that hospital bed, and her face is all bruised up and beaten the fuck up, and Buffy's not got a mark on her except those angel bite marks on her neck. Like that just says a lot right there. Once again, like, just talking about it, Buffy kicked Faith's ass. You know, like, she kicked that bitch's. I mean, they were pretty equal, but like, Buffy won.
Yeah.
All times. Like, sucks to suck. But I also like the callback too, and I'll speak a little bit more into that episode of like Faith, as I said it earlier, her kissing Buffy on the forehead in Enemies and saying, "You're not ready for that yet," whenever she's holding the blade to her throat. And then we get this moment. It's pretty intense, just to say that there. I feel like I'll like concentrate a little bit more on that next time. But Joss Whedon, I heard in the DVD features when I was watching it that he commented saying Buffy stabbing Faith was a big deal. It was a very harsh place to go, and that's a human being. And we obviously didn't want to have Buffy be a murderer or like make Buffy a murderer. So that's why they chose to end this way versus have her actually kill Faith. Like, and Faith ended up in a coma instead. And he also commented that he wasn't going to let 𝐿𝑎𝑧 go that easily. So just to put that out there. It was a little breadcrumb. Yeah, well, that's that. Themes and metaphor for this episode. Super short because obviously I focused next episode as more of a big closure. But this episode is all about the transition and the uncomfortable moment before everything changes. Graduation becomes the backdrop for that shift, and that real transformation is happening inside Buffy. She feels the weight of stepping into a new version of herself long before the ceremony begins, and the tension in the air reflects how growing up asks for choices that have real consequences. Buffy and Faith are the clearest metaphor in the story. They show two directions a young person can go when the world asks more than what they're prepared for. Faith poisoning Angel is not meant as an attack, but emotionally it becomes Faith's way of avoiding her own reflection. The battle between them represents facing the version of yourself you've been avoiding and accepting that you can't outrun your shadow forever. Angel's poisoning turns love into something that demands maturity instead of fantasy. The cure isn't symbolic, it's literal and personal, and Buffy realizes real love sometimes requires action that changes you, even when you wish it didn't. Her decision shows that she isn't a child in this world anymore. The mayor's relationship with Faith highlights the difference between care that supports growth and care that controls. He treats her like family, but only as long as she fits the version of herself he approves of. His ascension is the final form of that controlling guidance, while Buffy's world allows her to change. And what carries the whole episode is the feeling of standing on the edge of adulthood. Everyone is pretending graduation is normal, while the ground shifts beneath them. The supernatural danger becomes the metaphor of how overwhelming it is to leave one phase of life and step into another. And most of all, this is the moment Buffy stops reacting and fully chooses her role. Her decision to confront Faith is the first time that she acts with complete clarity about who she is and what she's willing to do, and it marks the beginning of her true becoming and sets the emotional tone for the finale. And I'll leave that there until we conclude in part 2. Which I love that I had that written out, and then we talk about what we talk about here, and it makes sense and connects all of that. It makes it just feel so much more real and accurate. I'm like, fuck. Even the part about the mayor that Chris brought up earlier about his domineering effect over her wanting her for her power and stuff like that. I'd forgotten that I put that in here, but I also wrote this 4 weeks ago. So
and did you mention about the graduation and the change in everyone? I did make a note of this, but I forgot to mention it. This is the first episode that Faith intentionally kills a human, isn't it?
No, she kills the guy that has the box that's bringing the box of Gravlock. Yes, and then obviously Lester in this episode, but those are the 2 times that she's killed a human intentionally. Remember,
was the guy with the box?
Human, he's got the handcuffs. He's chained to the box, and he brings it at the airport.
Oh yeah,
and she shoots him with the bow and arrow, and then she kneels down to cut it. She's like, "No, but my knife will cut through bone," and she chops his hand off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the second time that she's killed a human, but yeah. But that just lets us know that Faith is literally off the deep end now. She's just killing people willy nilly. This is whatever to her. This isn't the same as what happened in Bad Girls. Couple of Buffy fun facts that I have for this one. I saved most of them for the next one. Faith, like Eliza Dushku, reveals that when she was a kid, she lived out just outside of Boston. Obviously, I said that earlier about the Wicked thing, and I'm forgetting that now. But both being from Massachusetts, there's that. Forgot I burned it, but here it is again. When Buffy and Faith are fighting in Faith's apartment. Oh wait, I already said that too about. All right, I already skipped Buffy fun facts because I said it earlier. Never mind. The debris are on the floor. The TV's not broken, but it is. But it's not. All right. Anyways, moving on to our final slays.
Final slays.
Graduation day, part 1. I just stabbed a bitch. I don't know. What do you guys got for quotes this episode?
You can go.
Okay, thank you. So my favorite quote was the Buffy and Wesley face-off when she says about where is it? It's the quote about the council not knowing which way her back is facing.
Back is facing. Yeah, I have that one too.
That one and Anya reminiscing over the shepherd and the flock of sheep.
So random.
Just the delivery was so good though. I just love.
Yeah.
I love her talking and just reminiscing in a really happy manner about all this mayhem she's caused. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that.
She really loved that part of her life too. She just really wants to talk about it. She's like, "Yay! Finally, someone to tell my stories to."
Yeah, and the others are just read the room. They do not care. They are not interested.
That's
she's like, "Where is Halfrick?" She's like, "Hallie, I need someone to talk to." Spoilers. Anyways.
Okay, so mine are where Xander says to Anya, would that be along the lines of you telling me about all the men you destroyed in your demon days? Because pencil me in. And he gets really eccentric about it. And I also love when Buffy says to the mayor, you never get even a little tired of hearing yourself speak, do you? Because clearly he does not. And I also love where Joyce and Buffy are talking, and Joyce says, Buffy, you're running away again and you're taking my clothes, because she just assumes that Buffy's like hitting the road and doesn't even put it into perspective that, you know, Buffy could just be trying to get her out of there. So it's very Joyce natured. But yeah, those are my quotes. What are yours, Brandon?
Well, I didn't write my Shining Slayer or my Weekly Wiggins in this, apparently. I don't know what they are. So we'll see. My first and overall main one that I wrote down for Buffy quotes is whenever she pulls out Faith's jackal knife and Faith goes, that's mine. And Buffy's like, well, you're about to get it back. Like, I love the retort, and I have to show y'all too. Like, I bought one. I had bought my sister one, the one who passed away who loved Faith. I wish I had her original one. Like, I had got it from her body or something like that. But I have a little, like, Faith's knife, little sterling silver necklace thing. It's actually attached to my Buffy cross. That's the replica from the season one that Angel gave her. I keep those together hanging up on my lovely Buffy plaque thing that I have up here with all my other Buffy shit. But I really like that. And I like whenever Joyce is like, you know, Buffy, looking back at everything that's happened, maybe I should have sent you to a different school. Like, I thought that was funny as fuck. Cordelia commenting to Xander in the cold open. He's saying something about dying in something with dignity. And she's like, you having dignity and clothes in the same sentence. I'm awash in a sea of confusion is what she says in a retort back to it. And I used to say this line all the time when people would say something confusing to me. I'd be like, I'm awash in a sea of confusion when I was like in 7th through like 12th grade. I've since stemmed off from not saying it, but I need to bring it back.
I agree.
Xander's comment to Anya about how she was a demon for 1,000 years and specifically addressing men, that was all she leaned, because she's like, men like the football and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, that's actually accurate and it's funny, but like, no, Xander, this just means from all the time that she spent doing this to men, that men did not change, and that's what she's come to know of them. Like, men don't have anything else to pull out of the ass hat for that. You know what I mean?
Basically, they haven't evolved.
Exactly. So I thought that was funny. And then my final one is Buffy. That whole interaction where she's like, you've never seen a demon, Anya does. And Buffy's like, excuse me, been killing them professionally 4 years running. Like, I just like the thing. She's like, bitch, like, who the fuck do you think this is? And then she obviously clarifies with what she says. But those are the ones that I have. Since I have it blank and I didn't put a Shining Slayer, who do you guys award Shining Slayer to?
I mean, obviously, it's got to go to Buffy.
Yeah, you can't really. There's no one else really, is there?
I mean, not really. I mean, you could give a Shining Slayerette to Anya for bringing them like some little information,
the insightful information.
Yeah, like you could go there with that.
I did write that down, actually. I put her as the second Slayer for providing insight.
I guess maybe that's why I left it blank, because it's like a no duh, it's Buffy. Like, she has to get it, and obviously.
But obviously.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool. In agreeance. What was wigging you guys the fuck out?
The first thing is Faith's dress.
The sex cardigan.
The sex. Mine is specifically also going to be Faith's dress. The buttons going all down her front instead of her back, like Miss Mary Mac.
I cannot. That's such a good throwback.
Miss Mary Mac.
I don't think I've heard that since like 4th grade. But yeah, that was my first Weekly Wigs, obviously, and I think the most like clear one is the spider legs hanging out of the mayor's mouth as he's like eating them, or the fact that he's eating them in general is just like ugh.
And they're hard too when they're hanging out his mouth at first before they turn into licorice.
And I don't know, like, I know everyone's different about their licorice, and there's some people
I don't
who
like black
it, and
licorice.
some people don't, especially black licorice. I'm from Germany, where actually a lot of people prefer black licorice. My whole German family eats it. I never have gotten down with it.
I like Scottish dogs.
I don't know. Between the spider and the black licorice, they're equally as gross to me.
It's the same thing. You know, whenever he's got them things hanging out of his mouth too, like, and they're like kind of making little like clinking noises, that vampire's over there going, crunchy. Call back to season 1, the pack. Was your Wiggins the cardigan, the sex cardigan?
No, but actually, funny enough, it was sex related. It was Willow and Oz not showering and changing their clothes after that.
He can't get over it.
So I can't get over it.
Listen, that's a distinct smell.
Xander's getting another one for manhandling Anya as well, bringing her into the library.
Yeah.
Those are my Wiggins.
I'm glad Courtney brought up the dress
Yeah.
because clearly I was discomforted with it in the beginning of the episode. But whenever y'all were talking, doing your quotes, I was writing like the sound that Faith and the sound of the knife going into her, like that happened, that guttural, like, I'm just like, ugh. And then the sticky sound whenever she pulled the knife out, that kind of like skeezes me out because you feel like you just got gutted. Like it's kind of like Tyler talking about the wooden splinters and getting stabbed in the heart with a stake and shit, making him get the ick. Like that was his weekly Wiggins that episode. So call back, which is so fun because Chris was supposed to be there. So it's like he's here now with all the things.
He's here in
What's
spirit.
slayed for you guys this episode?
I think I already touched base on it, but Giles doing the fencing thing with like one hand and reading the paper.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Did you write one down? He's like, fuck, I forgot that Slade moment.
No, I did. I said, oh no, obviously the fight. Oz being the perfect virginity boyfriend Slayer. Like, he was great. And I guess Faith for inadvertently helping Buffy win against the mayor at graduation. From what I said earlier on, I think if she hadn't have stuck that arrow in Angel, she would have been around in the graduation and it would have gone down a different way. Mm-hmm. So
Faith kind of was her own undoing in this episode. Consequences.
She really was, but consequences. But no.
Another Slade moment is Buffy quitting the council too. Then.
Oh yeah.
That's mine. But before my second up to that Slade was Wesley attempting to call the council to help find the cure for Angel. Like I felt like that was so significant because, you know, obviously I could say like the whole fight with Buffy and then like all that, but those two moments being paired together, like him coming in saying like I tried to call the council and try to help out. I thought that was like out of character for Wesley to have done, especially from where we first saw Wesley coming in. And that helps change like and reprogram a little bit of his mindset, I think, for her, you know, himself. And then just in general, Buffy quitting the council, like that's that Slade to me, her taking her stance on shit. And y'all heard what I said after that scene happened, so y'all understand why that's my that Slade moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take mine back and put mine on that one as
well. No Slayerette predictions, obviously, because Courtney already knows the next episode, and we'll get into some other stuff later. But either way, that wraps up our coverage of Graduation Day Part 1. What do you all think of this one, and how do you feel about Buffy and Faith finally going head-to-head? Do you agree with Buffy's choice to feed Faith to Angel? Was it justified, or was there another way that she could have gone about it? Do you love the fight sequence and the fact that Buffy wielded Faith's own knife against her? And of course, Angel being poisoned sets off that entire chain of events, so tell us how that landed for you and if you think that that was the key to the story. We also want to hear your thoughts on Willow and Oz finally taking that next step together, unless you're Chris, because he didn't want to smell what the smell was smelling. And do you love the fact that Buffy has decided to quit the council and finally take charge of her own Slayer journey? Write in and let us know. Chris, obviously, thanks for joining us for this episode. We definitely can't wait to have you back for a future episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. But until then, if you want to let everyone know where they can find you, view your artwork, and all of the incredible stuff that you create, go ahead and plug yourself now, but not the way Willow got plugged.
Yeah, and I would be changing. It's BuffyDood on Instagram. You can see all my illustrations there.
And that's Buffy, BUFFYDOOD. Because you know the bitches will come through with the DUDE.
Yeah, it's not Buffy Dude.
Go to the revamp page, type in Buffy D, and that'll come up. But not the same D that Willow got. I feel like I need to go take a shower after this episode just talking about all this. Yeah, before we head out, though, I also did want to say that the week after this episode airs, we'll be recording our season 3 wrap-up episode. So if you guys have any feedback, positive vibes to send out, comments, questions for us, or Courtney maybe about her Slayerette predictions for season 4, send them in. Let us know what you thought of this season of Revamped, what your thought on episodes were from the show or Buffy, along with your favorite moments that you experienced listening to us. Basically, anything memorable or pero kiss-ass, perhaps your thoughts on us tackling Angel the series when we return for next season. All the things, because of course we want to shout out you guys and feature your feedback in that recording. Either way, we will catch you all back here next week as we get into the final episode of season 3 before we bring this chapter to a close and say goodbye to the high school years.
That's mine. You're about to get it back. Man, I'm gonna miss this.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at @revamped_rewatch podcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast, where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the Hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, the Earth is definitely doomed.
This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.